Hello and welcome to the Computer Game Show. My name's David Turner and I'm here with James Farley.
Oh, hello.
Sean Bell.
Hello.
And Blake Harrison.
Hello there.
Actor. Yeah? Celebrity.
Yeah. Well.
Award winner. Huh?
Yeah.
Scored a winning penalty for England in front of 72,000 people.
80,000. Yeah.
Not enough for you though, was it, Blake? No, not enough for you. You wanted more, didn't you? You had to step into my turf and make a podcast. You knew I did podcasting. You knew that, and I let you have all that stuff. I could have done Soccer Aid. I could have scored that goal. I could have scored that penalty, but I didn't because you were doing it. But you decided, I'll do a podcast. Well,
podcasting is quite a wide art form, if we want to call it an art form, and I think
for some podcasters, yeah. Some of us take it a little bit more seriously.
I think that there's enough pie to go around, and I would say that my podcast is based around mixed martial arts, and yours is based around computer games. I think those. We're not necessarily stepping on each other's toes there, mate.
A lot of crossover of fans.
I was going to say,
I think
you will naturally be having Dave on your MMA podcast, will you?
Oh, of course.
God.
With all of Dave's, well-known fight training that Dave has done. Yeah,
I've done. I can fight, mate. I can do all that. I can do punching. I've got all that down, mate. I've got that in my locker.
He practices on his own.
If you step any further onto my turf, you'll find out, Blake.
Well, do you know what? Do you know what I will do? Because I know what you're doing here, Dave. But I'm actually gonna come in, and within the first minute or so of this podcast, I'm gonna completely rip up the rule book here and say, I know you're supposed to be the bad guy, Dave. I know you've got a rep. You've got a rep to maintain. But I'm going to completely break kayfabe, which is what the pro wrestling fans know about, the old kayfabe, and say that David Turner was incredibly lovely and was really helpful. He was helping me out with the old garage band and telling me what mics to get, and he did a little practice run with me, didn't you, Dave? Didn't you, Dave?
No.
Yes, you did. And
this is great. This is great. Can we keep going?
David Turner was an incredibly sweet and generous young man, helping me out, getting ready for the podcast. So I'm sorry, Dave, if I've come along and I've completely, ripped up the rule book here, gone against type and broken kayfabe. But, I just wanted to say thank you so much for being so lovely and wonderful and compassionate to another human being that was a bit lost.
Fuck you, man. That's how I do that.
This is amazing.
Do you want to tell people about your podcast? What's it called? How's it going?
I mean,
how are you finding it?
No, genuinely. I mean, I don't know. Is anyone going to listen to it from your show? I don't know. If you're a mixed martial arts fan, if you like your combat sports, which I do, then head on over to the MMA Fan podcast, where we've spoken to genuinely some of the best mixed martial artists on the planet. I mean, we've spoken to...
Ben Shepherd was one of them.
Well, we'll get onto that. But Ben was a wonderful guest, because Ben actually has done a charity boxing match where he, quote, mashed up Lamar. But we started only about 4 or 5 months ago, or whatever it was, and we've already had UFC featherweight champion of the world Alexander Volkanovski on the show, Tyron Woodley, who was a former welterweight UFC champion, who is going on to fight Jake Paul in a few weeks. In probably a huge money fight. I'm not a big fan of those weird YouTube boxing matches, but, they make an awful lot of money, so good luck to him. And then, some of the creme de la creme of the British mixed martial arts scene, and there is a big, what was supposed to be UFC London card coming up on September 4th, where a lot of people we've already interviewed are on that card, and we're going to be releasing a few episodes that are solely about that card. But that card, unfortunately, because of COVID, has been moved to Vegas. So that sucks for all the English, British MMA fans. But it's been an amazing, few months of going from... I just met this guy doing another podcast who was as big an MMA fan as me, and it wasn't an MMA-based podcast at all. It was about music, and we suddenly just got talking about MMA and went off on one for about an hour. From that, we just went, oh, do you want to start doing it, and we'll just chat about what we like about MMA? And then all of a sudden, we're interviewing quite literally some of the best mixed martial artists on the planet, as well as Ben Shepherd. So it's been amazing.
See, James, do you see how it works, mate? So play your cards right, and you might be doing a podcast with Blake Harrison in the near future, eh?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I don't think he's that up for it, to be honest, Blake. Sorry,
Rude, not forced.
He's committed to this one. No, but how are you finding the whole podcasting thing? Because you didn't. When we initially spoke about it and you were thinking about getting into it, you weren't. I mean, I assume you listened to podcasts. You'd been on podcasts before, but you'd never sort of done your own. So how are you finding that side of things?
I did only ever listen to podcasts that I was guesting on. So it was like I had my own.
On repeat.
I mean, to be fair, that's more due diligence than most guests do, to be fair. I think that's pretty good.
Although it's after the fact, isn't it? It's like after I've been on your show, then I'll listen to your show, just listening to my own voice constantly.
Have you got a supercut? Have you got a supercut where you've edited out when anyone else talks? And it's just you speaking for...
Unless they're laughing.
That's my anniversary present from my wife. I asked for it a while ago, and I've asked her to just cut out anyone else that speaks on any other podcast I've been on. And once she masters that, I'll get her onto YouTube, and she'll just be editing out anyone that has ever interviewed me before. And it's just me talking, answering random questions. And I've never been good at that whole... Whenever you have interviews, you get a lot of interviewers that go, oh, can you do that thing where you say the question within your answer so that people know we're doing, so we can edit ourselves out. I've never been good at that, so what I will have is just random ramblings that make zero sense whatsoever.
Have you ever just got, no, I'm not doing that? That's weird.
Unfortunately not. No, I always try.
Man, you should try that next time.
I don't think I do it very well. You can always tell. You start an answer, and sometimes they'll have the kind of the gumption to, like, where you don't put the question in the answer, and they'll sometimes be slightly giving you a slightly kind of disappointed look, and then they'll go, do you mind just saying that again, but including the answer in the question? You go, oh yeah, no worries, mate. Yeah, sorry about it. Then you say the answer again.
Saying that again, but how we asked you the first time, please.
Exactly, and you never do it as well the second time. But then after you've done it for about 3 or 4 times and missed the question 3 or 4 times, they just look despondent. They're just like, there's no way this idiot is going to get it. So let's just let him do what he wants. We'll have to edit the questions in like type form at the bottom of the screen or something like that. But I do listen to a lot of podcasts. I do listen to a lot of MMA based podcasts because that's just what I'm passionate about and love. But I also have listened to your podcast, The Computer Game Show, but also I genuinely absolutely loved Star Calls. Absolutely loved it.
Oh, cheers, man. I wasn't expecting that. No, why are you being nice? This is weird. We've never had this before.
That's what I'm doing. I'm kind of putting you at ease. And then all of a sudden, when you least expect it, I am going to pull out some horrible story about you kicking a puppy when you were like 14 years old and we knew each other back then.
That didn't happen.
Did it not?
There's worse stories you could tell than that. I mean...
no, he didn't kick a puppy. Or at least he was never found guilty of kicking said puppy.
Oh, did you ever hear the bit in Star Calls where we mentioned you? Because I wanted to get you on that show. For those of you that don't know what Star Calls is, it was a podcast that James and I did. It's still available. Go and listen to it. It's where I watched the Star Wars films genuinely for the first time in my life, like mid-30s. And I watched them all. Obviously, James, you're a huge Star Wars fan. So I'd call you after watching every one of the films and we would talk about them, right? And that was the show. But you came up in one of the episodes, and I'm going to ask you now, because there was a bit of a debate going up in our WhatsApp group about it. Now, out of all my friends... This doesn't sound like a compliment, but out of all my friends, you're the most likely to be asked to act in a Star Wars film, right?
Well, because you don't know literally any other actors, but yeah, okay.
Right. So, if you get the call, they want you to be in the next Star Wars film.
Yeah, right? I'm liking this so far, yeah.
Okay, but they say, we want you to be Jar Jar Binks. Like, we're going to do a big bit with Jar Jar Binks in the next film. Do you take that role?
Okay, well, the immediate thing that jumps out at me is that Jar Jar Binks, didn't he have kind of like a sort of faux or something, sort of like Jamaican accent or Jamaican twang?
Yeah. There was a lot of problems there, yeah.
I think there could be a bit of a Twitter backlash about me playing Jar Jar Binks for that reason.
That was, right, all of this was considered. All of this was thrown into the mix when we were talking about it, right?
Okay,
so
I don't actually remember this. I listened to every episode and don't remember this, but carry on.
Right, I'm pretty sure we might not have gone into it in that much depth on the show, but
all right.
But, so all of that's in the mix. You've got to think of that stuff. You've got to think of what people think of that character already, you know. But it's the next Star Wars film. This is the only part you're being offered, and it's Jar Jar Binks. Tell me now, do you take that role?
I think I would ask them if I could change the accent slightly, and I would be genuinely concerned about
cousin
that. I think
or something
because I think Jar Jar Binks now could actually be a fantastic role. With Jar Jar Binks now, I think you'll have to play him like you knew everyone hated him. So you're playing the death scene. You're playing the death scene for cheers, not for sobs. And I mean, if anyone has watched the Lego Star Wars cartoons that are on like Disney Plus and stuff, which are brilliant, they handle the Jar Jar stuff brilliantly. So I would go down a Lego Star Wars Jar Jar Binks route and just play him knowing everyone hates him.
I'm the producer at Disney, and I give you a call back and go, no, we want the accent, and we just want the same thing.
The accent's a real deal breaker.
We've heard your ideas. We've heard your ideas about, you know, playing it for, you know, look how shit. No, we just play it straight. Play it. You Jar Jar Binks. You're Jar Jar Binks. You're Jar Jar Binks. You sign the contract?
Let's say no.
Yes. Brilliant. Me and Matt had a massive argument about it. I was like, there's no way. There's no way. And he was like, of course he will. It's Star Wars. It's Star Wars. So,
no, don't get me wrong. It would be a hard decision. But as soon as they're like, oh, yeah, but you have to act in a Jamaican accent, I'll be like, is that okay? I don't think that's okay. Like, I'd be having a real really crisis of confidence.
I mean, what's
he's an alien. You're not playing an actual Jamaican. He is an alien kind of like fish man. That for some reason has a Jamaican accent, but I don't know that I could. Because I'll tell you the other thing about it that would be just god awful is that you'd be on set, not in a costume, not in a mask. You'd probably be yourself, just with some green dots on your face, and you'd be turning up. You're right, mate. I Daisy Ridley and John Boyega. How's it going? You're right, guys. You having a good time? Oh, lovely. And then you start speaking in a Jamaican accent. It would just be horrific, wouldn't it?
They'd be looking at you and they'd just be like, "Are you taking the piss?" You know, like what are you doing?
How could you possibly do it? I don't think it's possible to do.
Isn't it a saying among actors that it's better to be shit in a hit than a hit in shit? Is that a real thing?
Yeah, but I don't think it's better to be like racist in a hit. I think that might be one of those exceptions. Like, yeah, sure, be shit in a hit, but don't be racist in a hit. Yeah. That
the saying doesn't really take that into account, does it? Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for answering that. That's amazing. Right, okay. Speaking of amazing crews like Chewbacca, Han Solo, Luke, the others, all the others, Tom. We've got an even better crew, Blake. They're called the Full Nels Crew, and they're our Patreon producers for this month. They are Aaron Patrick, Simon Nelson, Tom S, Jack Oven, Moomin Biscuit, Dave Ernsberger, Colin Brown, Gazman, Gabby Pereira, Graham Mackay, Rocketman76, My Dog Skip, Rex Reese, Matt Murray is my favourite podcaster, and Matt Morley's brother Mike. Thank you so much for supporting the show. We really do appreciate it. You too can support the show by going to patreon.com/TCGS. Various different tiers. There's bonus podcasts, live talksovers. We did one this week we're not going to tell you what it was to. It's the Matt Murray surprise. And
I mean, it wasn't much of a surprise, was it?
It was a bit of a surprise.
Well, no, because his surprise was blocked by YouTube, so he had to scramble around for something else at the last minute. So, I can tell you that. But yeah, please go over to patreon.com/TCGS to support what we do. We really do appreciate it. Now, before we get on to feedback from last week's show, I've just got to give a quick plug. This weekend, Sunday, what is Sunday? Sunday is the 22nd of August. I'm going to be watching the Super Mario Bros. Film with Ian Lee on Twitch. I go and follow Ian Lee on Twitch, or follow me on Twitter, and I'll give you the links and everything. I'm not sure what time yet, but definitely keep an eye out for it. Sunday the 22nd, we're watching the Super Mario Bros. Movie. You need to be a Twitch Prime member to be able to watch along with us, but we're going to talk over it and all that sort of stuff. Have you seen that film, Blake?
Many years ago. Didn't it have Dennis? Did it have Dennis Hopper in it?
Yeah,
it did. Yeah, he was Bowser.
It did. There you go.
He played Bowser.
Yes, I vaguely do. It would be one of those ones where if it came on, I go, oh yeah, I remember this bit of it or that bit of it. But off the top of my head now, other than Dennis Hopper, I couldn't tell you a single thing about it.
Well, it was terrible. Is the
other
is
than
the
that,
thing?
yeah, it was pretty terrible.
Yeah.
Is this your new thing? You're watching computer game based movies and putting it on Twitch? Is that a regular endeavour?
No, this is the first time I've done it. It's just me doing it with Ian Lee and on the TLNA stream. So he's just asked me to come along and watch it with him because I don't know why actually he's asked me to do it, but I'm very excited about it. I can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. What if they wanted to remake that movie and cast you as Luigi? Blake, would you go for that? Maybe the whole show today should just be, would you take that role with Blake, Blake Garrison?
I think that's okay, isn't it? I'm playing an Italian. I think I'd rather play Waluigi. You know, they always say the villains have better roles, ultimately. You know, they're more meatier parts. And also being quite tall and gangly, I think I do suit Waluigi a little bit more than Luigi. So I'd probably go for Waluigi.
You know he's not Italian in that film.
Oh, is he American?
But he's like for some reason.
But is he like of Italian descent? Is it one of those?
Yeah, I was going to say,
like,
surely.
Where, like, you know, he's
Is he? I mean, I don't know. It was a long time since I've seen that film last. But yeah, you might be right.
It's one of those ones where like your family's been living in America for the last 150 years, but you're Italian, what they do over there.
Yeah. Right. Should we get to feedback? So, Sean, you weren't on the show last week.
No.
Have you taken notes?
I have taken notes.
Any feedback from last week?
Sorry for dropping you in it sort of half hour before the recording started. It was one of those. I just had a bit of a headache in the afternoon, and New kindly said, "Look, I'll do bedtime with Isaac," and I was like, "Cool, I'll have a nap. That'll just clear the headache." And then just woke up like, "Oh my god, I'm going to be sick!" Like, really bad fucking migraine out of nowhere.
Just drinking heavily in the morning again.
Yeah, I was pissed. Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, feedback. So obviously this is going to be my last appearance on the show, obviously after the whole planet stroke arcology fuck up. I do apologise.
Oh, God, yeah, you screwed up the plot too.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, that's right.
So, there's no way I can make up for that. So this is me gone after this episode.
All right, bye.
I laughed at Dave when you were talking about the PSVR 2. He said, "Oh, this could be like the real successor to the PSP," and I was like, "Sorry, what happened to the poor Vita? We're just erasing that now."
Oh yeah, I forgot about the Vita. I think because you know how narcissistic I am. I never owned one, so that didn't exist.
I just assumed he was talking. He meant the Vita, because PlayStation Portable, wasn't it?
I suppose the Vita was kind of just the same thing, but better, wasn't it? It wasn't.
Yeah. So thanks. You've given me an excuse to roll with, so I'm going with that one. Cheers.
I found it very curious. James slagging me off for not wanting to buy Mario Party. Yeah. Given, I don't know if you guys remember this. We talked about it on the show a couple of times, but we talked about maybe doing a charity stream with Kane and Rince, where we were going to do like a tournament thing. and I'm not saying this was the reason it never happened, but one of the barriers to it happening was that James didn't want to buy anything that we didn't already own.
I don't remember that.
I did a big spreadsheet, and I said, right, everyone, like, here's a load of games, here's all your names and like columns and stuff. Everyone fill it in. Green for yes, I've got that game.
That's right, I remember that.
Yellow for I haven't got it, but you know what? For charity, I'll buy it. On red for absolutely will not consider it. And James was just like red, green, red, green, red,
because the ones that I would not consider were PC games, and I don't own a PC. So I'm not going to buy a PC, even for charity.
It wasn't just PC stuff, James. Come on.
It was all PC stuff.
Anyway, no. If people were like, "Oh no, Mario Party is genuinely brilliant," then yeah, whatever. But no, I don't think anyone likes it that much, do they?
It's all right.
What? Mario Party's excellent. What are you talking about?
Is it?
I love it.
Well, what if you've only got one 3-year-old to play it with?
Maybe
that can be
older,
frustrating.
Yeah.
I'm speaking from experience on that one. That can be frustrating when the kids are just not quite getting it.
How's it going with your kids and gaming? Blake, have you tried to introduce them to it?
I tried. It's very much gone off the boil. It was. It started off with a bit of like Lego Incredibles game on the PlayStation 4, and then I realised
brilliant that game.
It was brilliant, but my daughter's hands were just like too small for the pad, so it was like so she was just really struggling. Although she found some of it enjoyable. So then that's when I got a Switch a few years back. I was like, I'll get a Switch because they're really tiny for them and everything. And we've played a little bit, but like she's not. Like I feel like most of the games are maybe a bit too fast action for her. Like Mario Party, there's actions in it that you have to be on it quite quick. Yeah, and then the Overcooked we've tried a bit of as well with loads of fun, but. I get a bit stressed out. I'm like, move onions! I need the onions now! And then she just got into a situation where she liked burning the kitchen. So that just pissed me off. I was like, you're not even trying now. You're just becoming an arsonist. And so, yeah. But then
you didn't fall into the Animal Crossing trap?
I didn't. I was thinking about it for a long time, but I thought, I just don't know that they are going to play it that much. That basically
it's really addictive, man.
Yeah,
it's really addictive.
Part of me would like to get hold of it just because it might be one of those slower paced games where they can just learn the basics of like I move the character here and make them walk there and stuff like that. It might be good for them to just kind of bed into it. But if it is very addictive, then I might get told off by my wife for kind of getting them addicted to a computer game.
Right, okay, so anything else, Sean?
Yeah, there was a couple of joke names that I think Matt missed.
Yeah, I heard this. Now, I don't remember picking them up during the show, but I saw a lot of people laughing that he missed a few.
Well, there was Jenny Tallwart.
Trouble is, by the time we get to questions and stuff, just too tired. You don't notice those things anymore.
Jenny Tallwart.
Like I always miss these when I'm actually on the show, but yeah. And then there's also Drew Peacock.
Sorry, Blake. We've started getting emails from people with fake names that say things like genital. That's really fun. That's a really good one.
I was going to say that I think some of your either Patreon subscribers or those lists of names you mentioned there, I had a feeling some of those might be fake.
Yeah, no, a couple of those are fake.
What
was the other one?
I don't think anyone was christened Rocket Man or anything like that.
Drew Peacock was the other one.
That's just like that's not even that. That's just really stupid.
Also, I mean, not really a joke name, but am I the only one who knows who Sasha Grey is?
No.
Okay, you did mention this. Yeah.
No, did you? Sorry,
do I know this?
What's it?
What is this?
You mentioned it in the WhatsApp, didn't you, Sean?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember. Maybe I've missed something.
More importantly, the Vanilla Slice chat. That was good. Really enjoyed that.
It was, James is all self-conscious about it. He says it's too local radio.
I was punching the air when Matt brought in the apple and raspberry turnover element. I was very, very proud of him for that. Although, do you know? So there's a bakery chain around here called Chatwins, and they do a Copenhagen slice. Which I've googled it. I don't think it's from Copenhagen, or it doesn't seem to exist anywhere else. Only in Chatwins in the northwest of England. But it's basically a vanilla slice, but where like the pastry's like really light and fluffy, which doesn't sound like a big deal, except for the fact that it like breaks in the same way the cream does, so it doesn't all fucking squirt out the sides half as much.
Nice.
It's
That does sound like a brilliant solution. I'm looking at it online right now. It looks really good.
Salivating.
Right,
other than that, great show. Really enjoyed it.
Nice one. Cheers, man. Well, that's what you thought. But what did the listeners think? They all love it, did they?
Well, the listeners marched over to... what is it? Oh, yeah, tcgs.co/dear TCGS. tcgs.confectionery.corrections says feedback. In the last episode, David took great delight in mocking James for describing a chocolate eclair, declaring confidently that we all know what an eclair is. I'm sure many people, maybe even Mr. Kipling himself, have been in touch to point out to David that a chocolate eclair is actually made from choux pastry, not puff pastry. I think David must be thinking of pies. Well, whilst we're on the subject, Matt is correct about the order in which Neapolitan ice cream is eaten. Strawberry first, then vanilla, then chocolate. He was right about the next-gen console pricing bet, and he's right about this. What a guy.
Stop, you can stop there.
Oh, my God. What a way to make a point and then completely discredit yourself continuously for the rest of the email. What the hell is that? Well, actually, I think this, but also, these terrible opinions. So let's take them. I'm sorry. I'm not going to take that one on board. Blake, you stand in front of a tub of Neapolitan, mate. What flavour are you going for first?
I think I would go for the chocolate first.
Yeah,
of course.
Correct. Yeah. Correct answer. Well done.
Yes.
You've passed the test.
Thank you very much.
James, when you were off and we got a guest on and you were worried that you were going to be replaced?
Yeah.
Well, I think Matt Murray is sweating more than you ever did right about now. Should we get to the next one?
Garrison Savannah says the ice cream chat reminded me of a time I managed a Ben & Jerry's cafe for a couple of years. I can confirm
this is a video game podcast, but right, okay, go on, let's go.
I can confirm that cookie dough was by far the most popular flavour, outselling everything else by at least twice as much. Chocolate fudge brownie, fish food and caramel choo-choo were the next most popular. We used to make our own fresh waffle cones. They were literally waffles made fresh in a waffle iron and then formed into a cone by a rolling device. They quickly cooled and kept their cone shape and were delicious. Also, just wanted to say that I'm absolutely loving Dark Calls. The Armadillo has been my favourite so far. Keep up the great work. I love listening/watching all the TCGS content each week. Thank you, guys.
Cheers, man. I've just had an idea. For the next bonus show, James, can you come up with 5 Ben & Jerry ice cream flavours and name them?
Consider it
Do you
done.
reckon you could do that?
Yeah, consider it
Excellent.
done. I'll do that, yeah.
I'd love to do that. Just they can't exist. You've got to make your own Ben & Jerry's flavoured ice cream and name them.
Okay,
I just can't wait to see what the names are going to be.
So it needs ingredients here, like what it's going to taste of, and then and a name.
That's right. That's
Right, okay.
correct. That's correct. You got it, baby.
Do the names all have to be puns, don't they? Well, I suppose chocolate fudge brownie
I'm not doing puns. I can do whatever the hell I like. And I'm not
fucking hell, fair enough.
It just might not get signed up by Mr. Ben or Jerry. That's the problem. That's the risk you're running there, James. Right, okay, go on.
Cosmonaut says vanilla slices. How to eat. Step 1, place the iced top layer of pastry. Flip the iced top layer of pastry over. This will provide a better grip with less icing on the fingers. Step 2, turn the slice over 90 degrees so the pastry is now vertical when bitten. This will help to prevent the dreaded custard squirtage.
I've tried that before, it doesn't work. But go on.
This is how you can boss a vanilla slice without oozing. You will, however, need to be able to get the whole end of it into your mouth. Not always easy for the modestly mouthed of you, although some supermarkets have a much smaller custard/vanilla slice, i.e. Booths. P.S. Love the show. Shout out to Booths.
The other big problem with that is that the pastry bits get stuck in your teeth if you do that.
That's
as well.
True. They're just going straight in the gaps, aren't they? They're just slotting in. Yeah.
What have you been playing this week? No, go on. We're talking about fucking vanilla slices. Go on, what's the next one?
So this has come from Clark Breville Sandwich Toaster set on 4, not 5. I'm not a monster who eats charcoal. Says all right, me old muckers.
Shark in it.
Listen to your thing about controller inversion and thought I would tell you about Destiny 2. The very first thing you do in that game is get asked to look up. What this is doing is finding out if you invert or not and setting it automatically. Genius. Why is that feature not in more games? I'm not a filthy inverter, but I won't stand in the way of helping the less fortunate, even as someone who was weaned on GoldenEye's inversion and Turok 2. Appreciate you all. Cheers for the laughs every week. Because Bungie have done this for years, haven't they?
Yeah,
Halo
yeah.
games did
Halo.
it.
I was about to say Halo did that. The first one, where it was like there was a look up at the light or whatever.
Yeah. Why's no one nicked it?
Blake, you might not have heard this, right? But I've made a big change in my life, mate. When you play first-person shooters, do you invert the controls so you press down to look up and up to look down?
I haven't played a first-person shooter in a very long time, but I used to always invert. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm now trying to force myself to change.
Hang on. Dave, is this like a permanent thing that you're trying to do?
What you think I do it for one game and then
I don't know. I don't know what
right, I'm going to flip back.
I don't know what is going on in your weird mind, like with this. I don't understand why you're doing this. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Because it's just a pain to just change it every time.
It takes a second to do. That's it. It's nothing.
Every time, though. Just think of how much time you wasted in menus trying to find the invert camera option. Like, it's crazy. And Blake, you were there. I told the story last week. But when we went to GameStars Live to play Halo 2, like months before it came out, do you remember?
Yes, I do, yeah.
Do you remember queuing up for like 3 hours to get in to play the thing?
I vaguely remember that, yeah.
Right? Do you remember getting in front of that console and not being able to look around because they wouldn't let us turn invert on?
I'm sorry, I don't remember that, no.
I can't believe that this had such a profound impact on you, Dave. Like, it was like something...
I've always been bitter about that. I've always been bitter.
It does ruin it for you.
The fact...
It's like not being able to change the controls on FIFA or something like that. That is infuriating if you've just got to shoot is cross and tackle is, I don't know, head the goalie, I don't know.
Yeah.
So actually, that's a good point. So Dave, presumably you're also going to change your FIFA setup as well.
I wish
and
I
just
could,
go with the
but
default
I don't
controls.
think I could do that. I don't think I could do that. I wish I could change it back to just the default, but I've tried that and my brain can't do the several different changes of buttons rather than just the inversion of looking up and down.
Shoot and lob, yeah.
That die, shoot them.
It's shoot and lob, that's it. That's the only difference.
Right, okay, I thought you said shoot them. I thought it was a bit harsh. It's only game of football, mate. Look, that day, Blake, has stuck in my memory as disappointing. And although we got to meet the Master Chief, like the real Master Chief afterwards, I still felt bitter about the fact that I wasn't able to control that demo. Like, it was infuriating. So I'm doing it. I've been forcing myself to turn invert off now, and I'm going to see how it goes. I've not played a competitive shooter with it set like that yet, though, and that's the big one. That's the big one. When I go back to like Call of Duty or Halo or something, that's when I'll know whether it's worked or not. I'm just focusing on Minecraft at the moment.
We should have made this a streaming series where you just went right off the bat and it's just you just looking up at the sky every 2 seconds going, fucking hell.
The funniest thing with this is that the game that like triggered this was Flight Sim, which is an actual flight simulator where you're supposed to do that. It doesn't.
Supposed to be
I hate people that say that. Yes, of course, when you're controlling the aircraft, down is up and up is down.
Yeah.
But when you're controlling the camera within the aircraft or outside of the aircraft, it's not inverted by default, and I didn't know how to change it. So, you know, you can take that little argument and shove it right up your pee hole. Should we get to the next bit of feedback?
Can I just say one thing about that? That just the only kind of the nearest thing I had to that was moving from the D-pad to the analog stick on FIFA, which took me a while.
Wow.
And I tell you now, I know, Dave knows my brother Dane, who's always been very, very into FIFA, Pro Evolution Soccer, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
He still, to this day, uses the D-pad to move.
No, he doesn't.
He absolutely does, and he still beats me every time.
That's madness.
Surely that's a massive detriment. Like, you've only got 8 directions to move in.
It is, yeah. He says it's annoying. He can still dribble quite well, actually, but he can't do that thing. You know that thing where you used to on the D-pad just double tap the direction you want to go in, and it put the ball further in front of you, and you could run onto it with more pace. He can't do that anymore. You flick like the right analog stick or whatever it is, don't you, to make the ball go a bit further ahead of you when you're dribbling. So that's like a skill he now cannot do, I think. He has to just use, again, he just uses the D-pad.
That's mad. Speaking of FIFA, do you play Pro Clubs, Blake?
I don't. I haven't bought FIFA for the last couple of years. Again, just
okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, it's fine. I might just need to coax you into our pro clubs team because we need players right now.
Well, I'd be up for it.
Okay, all right.
I'm up for it.
You'll get to meet the whole crew. We got Slush on the wing, and we got Tight Angs, Johnny D. Yeah, well, you'll meet the whole team, mate. Don't you worry about that. We'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that off the show. Go on. What's the next bit of feedback?
Ted Bathing Suit says, hello chaps, going back to the real life third person view question. If Sean were to use his drone to fly behind himself whilst also wearing the view goggles, he'd be able to experience the third person lifestyle. Make it happen, Captain. I haven't got the goggles. I don't think my drone can use them.
Well, it's funny. Ian sent me a video of someone that set up exactly that. Well, almost exactly that. They had a VR headset on, a GoPro on the back of like some backpack thing,
right.
And they'd set the GoPro behind, so it wasn't a drone, it was actually like attached to his back.
Okay.
And he was viewing himself in the third person as he was walking around. And some of the stuff we hadn't even thought of, right? Like there's a bit where he was pouring milk into his cereal, but obviously you can't do it down where you would normally pour milk into a cereal. He had to lift the bowl above his head and do it up there and stuff like that. And I thought, we made the right decision of saying we'd rather be in first person rather than third person. I think we made the right call on that one.
Yep. Albert Crumpet says, read James's rat obsession. It's funny you should mention having a strong desire to see rats, James. I happen to be setting up a rat museum showcasing the large creatures I found strewn about after lockdown 1. If you don't mind the slightly off-putting smell, you can find my neatly organised collection displayed just outside Sheffield Park Garden. Bring down the whole family and be sure to mention in the beginning for a 10% discount on merchandise. See you soon.
You getting down there?
That's one of the most sinister emails I've ever received.
It's a pretty stiff competition for that as well.
Even more than the ones we've got that are saying, we know where you live. And please let me follow James about. Like the genuine emails we've had.
Just want to do parkour.
That's more sinister.
Yeah, I don't know. This is the thing. I don't like rats. I actually hate them, but I'm fascinated by them in video games.
But last week you were like, I only saw one rat and it was dead.
Yeah.
I only wanted the rats to carry the plague, not to suffer the effects of it.
Right, let's go.
We also got Rex Reese says, evening all, just wanted to offer the other side to listener Sasha's comments last week. Personally, I don't get time to catch up on the news that often, and mainstream media rarely covers the games industry. So your podcast is one of the few ways I hear about things like the Activision and Blizzard story. I doubt I'm alone, so I thank you for making people aware of these stories, and I can add that you all, particularly Farley, present/comment on the news in a sensitive and tactful manner. I understand some people like to keep their heads in the sand and use games as an escape, but I don't think it's unreasonable to suggest that those people skip forward in a podcast rather than not commenting on the most important happenings in the industry. Keep up the great work. We then also had one, and I'm glad they've clarified this isn't their real name. This came from Buster Nut, who says, hi lads, love the show and everything you do. However, I have a bit of feedback based on the start of last week's show. If I remember correctly, a listener wrote in to complain about your coverage of workplace harassment, which has been going on at Activision Blizzard. Their complaint was that it was, quote, too political. Now, normally I agree with your stance on these things, but something about Dave's response angered me so much I had to stop listening. Don't worry, I did end up finishing the pod later that day once I'd calmed down, and it was great. Dave stated he understood the listeners' feedback in terms of they were listening to be entertained and not to be involved with a political debate. I'm sorry, but when has bullying, harassment and or sexual abuse ever been political? Abuse isn't politics. It's wrong on all levels. The fact that TCGS talks about matters of this nature is a good thing. The more people are aware of how wrong the abuse is, the better. The more conversations that take place about how to tackle abuse, the better. I understand it's important to hear everyone's views on the matter, but if you're complaining about hearing how people have suffered, to the extent in some cases that they ended their own lives, then I think we should ask that person to reevaluate their own thought process and try to have some empathy for others. I myself was subject to workplace bullying for over 6 years, and it severely affected my mental health, my physical health, my career, and still plays on my mind to this day, brackets, clearly. To hear someone whose opinion I respect and have listened to for years react in this way was really disappointing. I just hope I misunderstood what you meant, as this is quite possible given how touchy I am on this subject. All the best, love the pod, Buster, brackets, not my real name.
Thanks for your feedback on this, because it is always, as we've said before, it's a very awkward subject to talk about, especially as three blokes that don't work within the industry and don't work within the setting that all the reports have come out from. And Buster, I will say that I do think that you either misunderstood what I said or I didn't present my point clearly enough. For starters, I didn't say it was a political subject. The person that contacted in said it was political. I didn't say that. I said it was a horrible news story, which it is. And my point is this, is not that they shouldn't be interested in this news story and maybe they want to turn a blind eye. I don't think that was what was going on there. I think the point that the original emailer was saying was that I come to this podcast for the comedy elements and the laughs and the jokes and all of that, and then suddenly find myself in a very dark and deep news story, and one that you're discussing openly. Now, I agree with you. I do think we should be talking about this, and that's what we said on the show. We are absolutely going to continue covering this stuff as it comes out, and that's not going to change. So I agree with you on that point. But what my point was that I do understand that some people can be affected by hearing these news stories. They can for whatever reason, there's various different reasons why you might not want to hear them. And what I'm saying is that if you're in a situation where you come to this show for the mucking about and the silly name calling and all that sort of stuff, and then suddenly we're in a very serious debate about a very serious topic, I can see why some people wouldn't like that. And I think that that's okay for them people to not like that. That's they choose what they listen to, and if they thought the show was going to be one thing and it goes in a different direction, I can understand that concern. But ultimately, I totally agree with you. This stuff needs to be spoken about, and we said that on the show, and we're going to continue to do that. And all I can hope is that my explanation here has actually put my point of view across a little bit better than it did last week. That's all I've got to say about that, really. Anyone else want to add to that? Sean, you weren't here.
No, I wasn't. You're right. But yeah, I mean, basically, as you were saying, like ultimately, the point you made last week is that no, we are not going to stop covering this stuff. So yeah, I mean, if Buster not sorry, it keeps making me laugh, and it's really inappropriate. If they sort of heard a bit of it and maybe got hopefully now realise they got the wrong end of the stick. I hope it's clear that we're not going to stop covering that stuff. It was just Dave's point was just that he understood where that initial emailer was coming from.
Yeah, and the initial emailer, I'll be honest as well, that, and I didn't even pick up on the fact that the initial emailer seemed to be saying that those issues were political, because I agree with you that it's not politics. Abuse isn't politics. It's not a situation of what side you're on. It's a right and wrong situation. It's not a political debate. Maybe I didn't connect those dots with that email, and maybe I should have. So that's a fault on my part. But that's there's no way I would have said after that this is a political debate, and I understand. That's not what I believe. So I hope that's clear.
Cool. Nick H, the last one, says, I recommend you check out Dodgeball Academia. James, it's like Paper Mario with a good battle system. Sean, it's got Saturday morning cartoon appeal. Dave, it's got Dodgeball and has been likened to Golf Story. Matt, it's a party-based RPG, and I think it's on Game Pass, though I'm playing it on Switch. So I completely skipped this. I know it is on Game Pass.
I saw it on Game Pass. I saw it there to download as a newly added game, but I'd heard a couple of good things about it as well. So maybe it's something I'll get to at some point.
What kind of visual style has it got? Is it like anime?
Very cartoony.
It is. It's very. Go on, sorry.
Yeah, have a look at the image. You'll know exactly the art style when you see even the logo or whatever. You'll know what it's going for.
See, because I sort of, when I first saw it, I was like, I'm sure it's good, but it looks like a bit of a party game, like a local, when you've actually got friends around, if you and anyone can remember. Well, that felt like. Right.
Yeah, I remember that.
But yeah, I mean, from this description, I don't think I've got it right at all. It sounds a lot more interesting. So yeah, I probably will check that out.
Cool.
That's it.
Wicked. Should we get onto the news?
Yeah, we could do some news. It is more updates because there's been more things have happened this week following on from what we were just talking about. The first thing is Apex Legends, the lead game designer, has been fired because of sexist and racist comments that he made in the past. So this is a guy called Daniel Z. Klein, and he was working for Electronic Arts and Respawn, and they've now fired him. This is around comments that he made in a blog post back in 2007, and the post was entitled "I'm Daniel's Angry Rants," and it contains just a whole bunch of like really pretty horrendously sexist and misogynistic remarks, which I'm not going to repeat. I mean, it's really bad.
Just looking now, really, really gross.
Yeah. And then he also made some like racist remarks and stuff in 2007. And I mean, he responded to this and he said, you may or may not have seen the awful bigoted things I said in 2007. I wholeheartedly agree that guy should have been fired. I poured so much energy into becoming a better person since then, and right now I'm just very depressed because it feels like I'll never be able to make up for who I was. He later added that EA and Respawn were like absolutely like within their rights to terminate me, much as I may disagree with that decision. So yeah, he was let go this week.
I mean, it's an interesting debate to have, but I guess it's not the right time to have it. Like, not like in terms of this show. I'm talking about in terms of what's going on at the moment. You know, there is a debate to be had about when can you change and when can you educate yourself and when can you distance yourself from past mistakes and stuff. But right now, there's so much shit happening that maybe we're not there yet.
Yeah,
maybe, I don't know. It's a really tough conversation to have, isn't it?
Yeah, and meanwhile at Activision Blizzard, they've let go of Diablo 4 and World of Warcraft developers. So this is Louis Barraga. He's a game director for Diablo 4. Lead designer Jesse McCree and World of Warcraft designer John LeCroft have left the company. And there's been no reason given for their departure. They've just gone. But the speculation is because they were both, like, McCree and LeCroft were both in a photo taken in 2013 with the Cosby suite. You know, they were in
horrible.
They were in that photo, and apparently other people in that photo have been put on leave as well, but they're still at the company at the moment. So they seem to be letting people go related to that as well.
Bother me, like, all right, people are getting booted out, but again, it's this letting them sort of disappear quietly thing, isn't it? Like, why isn't there a public statement saying, like, yeah, we're sacking them because they're arseholes? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, they've gone, we won't say anything more about it. No, you fucking should say more about it. Say why. Say why this was the right thing to do based on, you know, their conduct or whatever. It's weird.
But the stuff we're seeing now, I think, just validates why all this news that's come out over the past 2 months has been so important.
Yeah, what needed to happen.
People are being let go, and not enough. And there's still a lot of change to be made, but that's why these news stories that's why all the whistle blowing, I don't really want to call it that because that sounds wrong, but that's why all this stuff's happening, and you know, still a long way to go.
Yeah, I mean, Ubisoft have been very quiet still. There's been
of course I have
nothing from that for quite a long time. Anyway, last week also Nintendo had an Indie World thing. Yeah. Did anyone see this? Right, at all?
I did. I didn't get to watch it live because it was on at fucking 5 PM. But yeah.
Yeah. So I watched which bits of it. You know, it looked alright. Nothing. We don't need to go through every game, do we? We could just pick
Matt's
out.
Not here,
it was
so
a lot of. It wasn't much actual new stuff, right? It was a lot of it was just here's a game you already heard is good, but it's only on PC, but it's now coming to Switch or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was decent, I thought.
There was that Bomb Rush Cyberfunk, which is that Jet Set Radio looking game.
I mean, it is just
Jet
Set
How
Radio.
are they getting away with that?
Yeah,
how are they getting away with it?
It's unbelievable, isn't it? It's like you saw it and I really thought it was a remaster or something. It was like coming out. It's just.
Do you remember Jet Set Radio, Blake?
The name really rings a bell. What was it about?
It was a blade, like a rollerblade game where you did graffiti.
Yes, I do remember. I don't think I had it.
Dom used to love it.
Was it on the Dreamcast?
No, Dominic.
Because
it was a Dreamcast game. Yeah. It had an amazing soundtrack.
Yeah. He had it, and he was trying to convince us to get Dreamcast off the back of it. And it was a good game. Don't get me wrong, but for some reason, some developers just copied it. They're putting it out
because it's the soundtrack's by Hideki Naganuma as well.
Yeah.
They've got him back.
Because apparently, I think they went to Sega to begin with and said we'd like to do this as like a Jet Set Radio game, and Sega were like, nah. And so they're like, okay, we'll just do it anyway.
Just call it something else.
Yeah.
Look, you've still got this one IP that you haven't destroyed. Can we? Nah. I mean, it's it is uncomfortably similar to Jet Set Radio, isn't it? I mean, maybe it'll be good, but I mean, have you played a Jet Set Radio game recently?
As long as they fix the controls, because that was the problem.
I was going to say, like, I mean, I loved the game at the time, but yeah, I mean, that and the sequel, neither of them have aged well.
Did I ever tell you that Jet Set Radio? I think it was Jet Set Radio. The first one was the one where I destroyed a kitchen, not a kitchen blind, like a blind like you have in the. In your bedroom.
I think I remember you saying this.
Yeah, because I just got so wound up by it that I ended up just destroying the blind because it just it was ridiculous.
I nearly smashed up my Xbox when playing Jet Set Radio Future on there. And it had all I remember is there's one level with loads of rows and loads of pigeons.
Yeah,
and it absolutely destroyed me, that level.
And it was
hated it.
And it was sort of bearable. And then the cops start coming for you, and they have tanks and shit, and you're just getting blown up as you like.
Yeah. Again, the soundtrack was so good, so it didn't matter. It was very good. Yeah.
It didn't have a patch on Airblade. I'll tell you that. I didn't have a patch on Airblade.
The Dyson.
What goes up must come down. So good.
We played. There was a game, Sean, that come out on the PS2 called Airblade, which was a hoverboard game that I think only Blake and I played, but boy, did we play it. We must have spent hundreds of hours on that fucking thing.
I think
for no reason.
We had a few people over one day. We had like some kind of like little like 6-player tournament or whatever it was, where everyone had to like play, because it was only one at a time. So you were all just sat watching the other person play, and then you pass it on to the next one. There might have been a split screen with 2-player or something. I'm not sure. And the soundtrack was so bad, but so catchy.
I loved it. What are you talking about? Right, okay, you got to search the soundtrack. But it was off of the back of the Tony Hawk's games, basically. You know, when everyone was bringing out a Tony Hawk style game, this one was it was called Airblade, and it was a hoverboard game. I want to play that again. We might have to do a stream of that. Maybe I'll sort something out. Okay, right. Well, what's the next news story, James?
So you don't want to no more of the stuff from the Nintendo one?
Else? There was one game announced that you guys were excited about, right?
Well, okay, so there's Loop Heroes coming. Don't care about that. There's a new Shovel Knight.
Whoa! Come on! Everyone says Loop Heroes amazing, and like I mean, I really want to play it, and I've got it on PC, but it's on PC, so I can't be asked. So it coming to Switch is pretty big.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then there's a new Shovel Knight game, like Pocket Dungeon. It seems to be some match 3 game. No,
probably all right.
That looks all right.
Tetris Effect, for anybody that hasn't played it on anything else.
Why anyone would play Tetris Effect when you got Tetris 99 on there, I don't know, but you fill your boots. Especially seeing there wasn't a lot of the magic of that game, how pretty it was. And playing it on...
not going to be the same on the tiny screen, is it?
It's not, is it? No.
Then there's Metal Slug Tactics. They did that.
All right.
Because that was, I think previously we only knew that was on PC, so yeah, fine, good.
And then Eastwood from Chucklefish, which was...
Oh, this looks great.
It does look great. I still don't have a fucking clue what it is.
Do you know the blurb for it? It's a journey through a society on the brink of collapse and adventure into the unknown.
Which is no help whatsoever.
It is. Oh, that clears it up.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just gorgeous, isn't it? Just visually,
it does look good,
musically, it's just stunning. So
really interesting. Yeah. I like the cut of its jib.
Coming out soon, 16th of September. So that's good. And then the big thing for me anyway, and probably maybe for Sean, I'm not sure, was Axiom Verge 2 was announced as being out now. Which was a surprise, because we'd be expecting this at the end of this year sometime, because it's been delayed many times, and then it was suddenly out, so that was good.
What's Axiom Verge? What is it?
It's a Metroid-style sort of, adventure game, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. First one's really good.
Mm.
Yeah, it was very good.
I assume you're going to be talking about that later.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, it was good.
Well, we'll save it till later then.
Yeah, and then there was just release dates for other stuff, so never mind, it's fine. But then the other thing that happened this week was at Nintendo World in Universal Studios in Japan, they had to suspend some rides because a Goomba statue broke free from its normal position.
Hang on, before you laugh, was anyone hurt?
Okay,
was anyone hurt?
Nobody was hurt.
Okay,
Nobody was hurt.
Okay, we can joke about it. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
So the Goomba statue broke free and it fell off the Yoshi's Adventure ride and the Goombas fell down next to the ride's track, and nobody was hurt, as I said, so that was fine. But then there's video of staff members dragging the Goombas away. And
there is. I've got to see that.
It's definitely worth watching the video because it's quite funny because the people in the background that are filming it are laughing because they're struggling to carry these Goombas because they're pretty big.
I wonder what they're made of.
Have you seen any of this from Super Nintendo World, Blake?
No, I think I know about a Goomba falling on a roller coaster track or something.
Basically, it opened up during the pandemic, right? So it's still quite, not many people have been and stuff. But it opened in Universal Studios in Japan.
I like it being at University Studios.
Yeah, that would suck a bit.
Student project.
Yeah. Ooh, I don't do anything all day, and I want more money to do it. I like. The place looks incredible, like absolutely incredible. Harry and I watched a walk around of it, like a blogger walking around the place. It was only this weekend, like on YouTube, and I was just like, "Oh my god, I have got to go there." There's no way I'm ever going there. There's no way I can afford it or justify it or whatever.
It's in Japan,
but
is it?
My word, does it look amazing? Yeah. It just like you walk through a walk pipe and you end up in Peach's castle. And the thing that got me, Sean, I don't know, you've watched these walk
me and Isaac have watched them all. Yeah.
What's crazy is how much of like the incredible music there is just playing everywhere. That's what gets me. It's just like, oh my god, there's Bowser's theme, there's the Rainbow Road, there's that. You recognise all the music, and I'm just like, I'd lose my shit going to a place like that. It looks so good. The only thing that I will say, the one blogger that I did see almost cried walking around the place. Didn't have a problem with that. Was going nuts. Went on the Mario Kart ride and come off it and went, that was okay. That was fun. Was it the best ride I've ever been on? No. But it was fun. And I thought, wow, if you're not losing your shit over it, how crap is this Mario Kart ride? But yeah, the thought of a tower of Goombas falling over. I mean, how much would you have loved to be in the park when that happened? Knowing that no one was hurt, how much would you have loved to have seen that happen?
Well, it's funny because there's like this alert on the video. They're like saying, stay in your like vehicle and all this kind of thing. Like, don't get out and all that. Like, what's going on?
Imagine if it was Charles Martinet.
It's escaped.
Yeah, but no, they think it was because there was very high winds at that time, so they just blew off. Yeah, the Goombas blew off.
Dirty sods. I mean, if you were controlling the music around that park at the time, how tempted would it have been to just go wah, 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 just as they came down?
Well, as Eurogamer said, they said it's a good job it wasn't a thwomp, that came down. That would have been worse.
Shut up, Eurogamer. Shut up.
We'll do the jokes, thank you.
What week? Come on, dude. Yeah, we've just come on, better than that. Okay, go on. What's it? Any more news?
Last one before something else is that the Sonic sequel has got its Knuckles because Idris Elba is going to be Knuckles.
Idris Elba, fucking hell.
Yeah, this is mad. Did you see the first Sonic the Hedgehog movie, Blake?
I did. I watched it with the kids only a little while ago. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, it's right.
Enjoyed it.
We loved it too.
Yeah.
I loved it. Have you seen it yet, Sean?
Yeah, have we not talked about this?
No.
Oh, yeah, I managed to watch it that well. I mean, Isaac can barely pay attention to anything for more than 20 minutes, but we pretty much watched it together, yeah. Yeah, it's all right.
What did you think? It is good, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bit like there are a hell of a lot of bad plot holes in it, but you just allow it, don't you? It's a kids' film.
Yeah.
I
and
really
the fucking
enjoyed
bit
it.
where Sonic just fucking destroys Robotnik's thing, and it's fucking great.
What about the whole, I read comments, eye-rolly comments on the internet about a scene where Sonic plays baseball with himself. That was really touching.
Yeah.
It was really sad and really well done. It was so good.
Yeah.
But do you see what I'm saying? Every time we've seen Sonic, I said this at the time, but every time we've seen Sonic, he's been a teenager, and you just think, you prick. But somehow in this film, they've made him seem a little bit younger. A little bit more vulnerable, and I thought that's how they nailed it. How they nailed it. Still want to see a cut of it of the original design. Did you hear this story, Blake? About when they originally announced this film?
I don't know about a story. I remember a kind of Twitter storm going on when they announced Sonic, and when people first saw Sonic. and they thought it was like the shittest thing ever. And yeah, I can't remember how I felt about it. I don't remember being that bothered about it, but people clearly were quite upset about how Sonic looked. But yeah, I just remember quite liking the film. I thought the film was just good fun.
The film was absolutely brilliant fun. What I'm doing now, though, is I'm going to send you a picture of how Sonic looked before they redesigned him.
Okay.
And let me know what you think now that you've seen the film.
All right, hold the line, caller.
I mean, he definitely did look a bit freaky and gross in the first one.
Yeah,
I didn't mind it. Oh, it was funny.
Is that any different from what you've sent me? Is that any different to what he actually looks like in the movie?
It's the teeth.
It's
the
very
teeth.
different.
The human teeth were a bit much.
I can't see. I don't remember him looking that different. He just looks like blue furry. He's got green eyes. Like what? What am I looking at?
It's the teeth.
I can't see the teeth. The teeth are very, very hidden.
Hold on, I've got to
sent
send
the
you
right
what he
one?
actually... Yes, I have sent the right one.
Have you?
All of him
Because
anyway,
his teeth are barely visible, really. He's just got some, you see in the lower, gnashers, they look a little bit like, implants.
Looks like dentures.
That's fine.
Okay, this doesn't make for best podcasting, but this is a comparison of the same scene where the two Sonics are next to each other.
Oh, okay, that's a very different... okay, I see where you're going now. That is very different, because one of them almost looks too real. The one on the left almost...
That's what they were going for.
The psychologists out there will know it as the uncanny valley, in which
they will, and also the video gamers. That is anyone that's played the David Cage game.
But that is creepy. I didn't actually watch the Cats movie, but it looks like he might have fit in quite well. Was he played by James Corden in this bit, or Judi Dench? Judi Dench as Sonic.
I'll watch that. I'll watch that film. Look, this sequel, it's really cool that Knuckles is in it. I guess I'm not holding any hope, because the main reason why I love the original Sonic film is that it was a surprise. But now we liked a Sonic film, so what's this next one going to be like? We'll see. We're supposed to be getting a new Mario film next year. We've not heard of anything from that.
I still don't know how that's going to go.
I think it's going to be amazing. I genuinely do.
You really?
I do. I do. It's Illumination, man. They know what they're doing. There's the right studio to take on that franchise. I can't wait to see what they do with that film. Right. Okay. Is that it for the news, James?
Hold your horses. Noise Fantasy Zone. Apparently, there are going to be remasters of GTA 3, Vice City and San Andreas coming later this year. And they're being worked on by Rockstar Dundee. And it's all being done in Unreal Engine.
Do you often get San Diego and Dundee?
I don't know where that came from. I have no idea where that came from.
I'm sort of vindicated, but also pissed off, because this is one of my predictions for E3, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was, yeah. But I do wonder what they're going to do to him. Like, when they see a remaster, I think they're just going to tidy him up a bit. And that would be a shame, because if you remember correctly, those games did not control well.
Well, do you want to know some more about what they've done to it? Because apparently they're heavily modded versions of them. And the gameplay, although this is the bit that is a bit worrying, they say that the gameplay is true to the PS2 era GTA games as much as possible.
Why would you do that?
Yeah,
why would you do that?
I don't want that.
But it's coming. Apparently, it's coming to pretty much everything in either October or early November. It's like PS4, PS5, Xbox One. It's coming to Switch, but also Stadia as well. So and mobile. So that's great.
I don't want to play them. So what is it? It's the free San Andreas and Vice City.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay,
but
we've been able to play them before on, like, you can play them on Xbox now, right?
Yeah, but these are like, they've been updated into like Unreal Engine and stuff, so they maybe look better and things.
Yeah, but if they still control like shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But apparently, if they do well, Rockstar are interested in doing Red Dead Redemption as well, like remastering that and releasing it. It's easy money, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, okay, whatever.
I don't know. I would rather them like release. I'd love to play GTA 4 again, but with like really good graphics.
Yeah,
that would be a good one.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Were you a GTA fan, Blake, or did you play many of them?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever completed a single one of them, but I did enjoy them. I think GTA 5, the last one, where you had the 3 characters you were flicking between.
Yeah.
I got right near the end of that one, and then I don't know, I must have bought a different game and moved on or something like that. And I think I had GTA 3. But I have quite vivid memories of being at your house, Dave, when we were about 14 and playing, I'm assuming, GTA 1, where it had that bird's eye view perspective and you just running around.
No, it was GTA 2, I think we were playing.
GTA 2, was it? Yeah, so I have quite a vivid memory of playing that in between talking about girls that wouldn't go out with us. So,
yeah, I wonder why.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I mean, GTA, I think San Andreas is the only one that I haven't completed since 3. So maybe it's worth a run through that, because I know that's a lot of people's favourites.
It's a very good one, San Andreas, yeah. Right.
Yeah, I think Vice City was probably my favourite of that era. It was definitely my favourite of that era. What am I talking about? It was easily my favourite of that era. But yeah, I didn't get all the way through San Andreas, so maybe I need to try that when that comes out. But I know it's interesting. I like this sort of trend of taking old games and making them a little bit nicer. There's certainly things that would instantly improve them, like frame rate and stuff like that. So let's see. Hopefully it's true, James. At the moment, it's still very much in your fantasy zone.
It's still fantasy, but we'll see. Hopefully.
Okay. Well, what's the colour of the sky in your fantasy zone?
Purple.
Okay.
Blimey.
There we go. I asked
wild.
and I got an answer. Right, is that it for the news, James?
That is it.
Fantasy.
Yeah, that's we're done.
Right, let's get to what we've been playing. Blake, have you got anything for us, or?
What games I've been playing? No, I've been really rubbish of late, I'm afraid. I went through a start of the pandemic. I went through a bit of a gaming phase, and I bought a few things for the Switch. I got the Crash Bandicoot trilogy, in which I can.
Oh, I remember this. Yeah, you drove yourself mad trying to 100% it.
Well, I 100%ed, and when I say 100%, I mean it goes up to like 110%. I did that with Crash 1 and Crash 2. Haven't bothered with Crash 2, and I think that's because, talking about like old games getting remastered, there's clearly a big thing for it, because I have very little interest in playing Crash 3 because I never played it when I was younger, whereas 1 and 2...
Oh, was it a nostalgia thing?
Yeah, massive nostalgia thing, and it's probably a similar reason that I bought and loved Streets of Rage 4, because I remember Streets of Rage 2 being a game that me and my brother completed quite often on the Mega Drive. And so got Streets of Rage 4 and then went straight round his house to play Streets of Rage 4 once I got it. But the other thing is you were mentioning breaking like a blind earlier out of frustration. Yeah. I had a moment, again, this is literally a year ago, maybe less, when I'm trying to complete Crash Bandicoot and I'm downstairs, my wife's doing something on the computer or the iPad whilst I'm playing Crash Bandicoot. And I'm just really struggling on like a certain jump. You get to the same jump every time and I can't quite do it or something like that. And I really angrily just like punched myself in the leg in front of her. And she turned around to me and just went, Blake, can you stop playing this game? I was like, oh, babe, it's not a big deal. I just need to get this completed. She's like, honestly, I've never been less attracted to you as I am right at this moment. And she meant every single syllable that came out of her mouth. So I had to stop playing for a while because she was genuinely wanting a divorce whilst I was playing Crash Bandicoot. So yeah,
a little bit disappointed. You need to get Spider-Man. I've said it to you so many times. You need to play that Spider-Man.
Is this
stuff.
the Miles Morales one or the other one?
Both of them.
Both of them.
Both of them.
Miles Morales is only on the PS5, isn't it?
No, it's
No,
out
it's
for
on
PS4
both,
as
yeah.
well.
Okay,
Definitely.
okay. See,
It gets off PS5.
Well,
Don't you just have to tweet? Oh, I'm thinking about getting a PS5, and then you get someone on the phone. Isn't that how it works?
those days are long gone, mate. I used to get invited to all the launches of this game and that game, and pick up a couple of freebies.
Oh, do you remember?
Those days are
Do you
gone.
remember when we went to? Do you remember when we went to the Assassin's Creed one?
Yes.
And we thought, you were like, what are these games? Because I'd been to a few game launches before, and you were like, what are these like? Oh, they're great, man. You go, there's a big bar, you know, there's loads of free drink, free food and everything, loads of people there. There's usually, you know, other gaming celebrities walking around. You'll get like a goodie bag at the end of it, and you were like, yeah, let's do that. Yeah, that sounds good. And we turned up, and it was like a hotel room.
Oh my god!
On our own, like with all the PR people around, and it was like,
God.
how long do we have to be here?
It was
through to leave.
so funny. I mean, look, it sounds very elitist, which I guess it was at the time. But it was at like a nice, fancy like London hotel. We got into this like relatively small room with 2 leather sofas and 2 TVs and 2 like PlayStations in it.
Yeah.
And we were going to walk away with a copy of the game and a PS4 just for kind of turning up. And I think I had already had a PS4, so I gave it to our other friend, Dom. I just went, you can have it, mate, because, you know, I've got one. And I think I remember that it was incredibly awkward because there was like 3 or 4 like PR people around, and then like me, you, Dom, and my brother, I think, were there, just kind of trying to chill out, but also being like, it's really awkward to chill out when there's like people just stood really close listening to every word you're saying. And I think they also might have been like, "Do you want any food from the hotel?"
They did, but
thing?
we were too nervous to say yes.
Were we?
We just went,
Because
no,
I have a vague.
yeah, we didn't order anything.
I can just imagine me like going, "I'll have a chocolate fudge cake" or something like that.
No, I don't think you did. I think we all felt it was a bit weird. But here's 2 things about that day, right, that really stick out. The first being, I later found out that if we'd have stayed 5 minutes longer, we would have met Charlie Brooker, because he came in just
yes.
after we left, right? And the other thing was, a Premier League football star was supposed to be turning up, rung up to say wasn't coming, but he was sending his mates over to pick up his PS4. Do you remember that?
I don't
remember you
remember
telling
that,
me
but that sounds like something people sometimes do. I mean, I would never, ever do anything like that, but...
it was shocking. And they went, because they were talking about it. We heard their side of the conversation, and then they said, oh, this guy's not coming, he's going to send his mates to send over his PS4. And they just went, well, can he tweet about the game? Can he tweet about the game? Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, just send him over. We'll give him the PS4.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I know. It's pretty bad. But yeah, no. What a weird experience that was. Right. Okay. Sorry, that's a bit of a tangent. What have you been playing? Oh, we played Assassin's Creed at a PR event about 10 years ago. James, what have you got for us, man?
Well, I've played. I got into the FIFA beta, but I'm not going to talk about that because.
Just quickly. So there was a FIFA 22 beta. You got the code. You used the code.
Yeah.
It meant that I could download the app as well. It wouldn't let me play it. Right, so I got home. I said to Harry, "I've just downloaded the FIFA 22 beta. We can have a game of it, man. This is going to be great. Like way before it comes out." And he was like, "Oh yeah, this is great." So then I tried to load it up, and it said, "Hold on, this isn't the profile that registered this beta. Hey, you ain't playing this." I was like, "Oh fuck! Oh no, wait, I've got James's profile on my thing." So I went to sign James in, and it says, "No, you need a password." Right, so I text James. I said, "James, you know, I need your password so we could play the thing." And you went, 1 minute, yeah, just give me a minute and I'll give it to you. Never heard from him again for the rest of the week. Me and Harry sitting in front of the TV.
I'm going to have a look at this because I don't think that is how this played out. Actually,
please do.
Not
please
exactly.
Have a little review of that situation. But I mean, Harry was crying. Thanks.
Okay.
He wasn't. Don't worry, he wasn't. It was totally fine. But
No, that's not what you said. You said this is weird. It's saying I need your password. So you didn't. First of all, you didn't ask me for the password. You just said it needs a password.
Okay, but how did you respond to that?
Then I said I'll see if I can log in a bit. Then I said Asher is on the TV at the moment, so I couldn't. Right. You know. So yeah, I didn't do it.
Well, yeah, Harry was really disappointed. Okay, you're not talking about that. Okay, what are you talking about?
So Back 4 Blood. I played that because that's been like on the what's it called limited beta as well, and that was we played
also
that.
a game I asked if you play with me, and then you said no. So yeah, go on. How did you find it with your friends that you were playing with?
I've not had a lot of time recently. Like I'm really busy at the moment with all the moving stuff and everything. I just don't have time.
Oh, all right. Yeah. So you didn't have time to play Back 4 Blood. Okay.
I mean, James, don't matter. Carry on.
I know what you're going to say. I know exactly what you're going to say, Sean. But fuck you, because it's been. I've been making time for things that are important. So
fair enough.
Okay, clearly I'm not.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, go on.
But anyway, you've played it already, haven't you, Dave? Like you've already.
I have played it again over the weekend. Yeah. This is did you ever play Left 4 Dead, Blake?
No, is that a zombie?
You must have played Left 4 Dead.
That's a zombie game, isn't it?
Four-player zombie co-op shooter.
I don't do zombies.
Okay.
Don't do zombies.
Well, the devs that worked on that game are bringing out a new game called Back 4 Blood. I played it, this weekend, and I must admit they must have either changed some of the difficulty settings or we changed them. I wasn't the party leader when I was playing these games, but it was way more difficult this run.
We played it on the standard setting or whatever, and we failed repeatedly at the end, and just ended up and start again or whatever because we couldn't do it. Which was, on the boat, we got to the boat part of. Did you get to that?
Yeah, same here. We got to the boat, died on a boat. Yeah,
yeah, because we did the explosives, then we didn't get off on time, and it was it was no good. But I mean, so far it seems okay. The card stuff does seem pointless, though. I don't really know what the point of it is at the moment.
It's so early. I don't think you can judge it because it's the sort of thing that you're going to really get into later on down the line. I think once you start getting deeper into the game and repeated playthroughs and stuff like that. I think, we'll judge that stuff when it comes to it. But, I mean, I'm not blown away with it. I mean,
one of the things that I'm finding is really not as good as Left 4 Dead is, the zombies seem to move really slowly in this as well. They don't seem
they move quite slowly in that one as well,
What, in Left 4 Dead?
If you go back and watch gameplay footage, it's quite similar pace.
I swear it was quicker than that. But you see, we've been playing Vermintide recently, and that is really much more intense than this is. I found intent. There's the enemies come at you really fast, clawing at you and everything. Whereas this seems a bit slower. But it seems fine. I mean, it's on Game Pass, so we're definitely going to play it.
I think that's the saving grace for this game. I hope it's good at launch because I think a lot of people are a bit lukewarm on it, but they're going to play it anyway because it's on Game Pass. So I can see myself doing that. Definitely my mates are all going to download that day one, so we'll try it out. But I think this beta sort of gives that sort of feeling that this is Left 4 Dead-y. It's just whether they've it hasn't convinced me that it's nailed it yet.
Well, the thing that it doesn't do as well as Left 4 Dead is it doesn't have as many different sort of enemy types and stuff, does it? It doesn't feel like it does anyway.
They are there, they're just not as obvious. Yeah. And I think maybe the idea is to knock the difficulty setting up, because Left 4 Dead was hard, man. Even on the standard setting, it was pretty damn hard in places. I remember some of the scenarios where you're remember being in the mall and trying to fill up the car with petrol and stuff like that. It was really hard being on the stage at the festival and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I think that's what disappointed me the most, is that those areas in that game were very memorable. The settings were great. Whereas in this one, it was literally walking around the forest and then getting on a boat. It didn't have that same thing. And same with the characters. The characters in Left 4 Dead were so interesting and had so much about them. Whereas this one, it was very, very, it didn't have that. But I'm just hoping that is because this is a beta.
Yeah.
It's not, got everything in it. And hopefully when it comes to it, they've nailed all that stuff.
So that's the thing, because it is a beta, but obviously it doesn't feel anywhere near as polished as Left 4 Dead did when that came out. But again, it's a beta, so you'd imagine that. So hopefully it'll be better. It's coming out pretty soon, though, isn't it? It's only.
It is, but then you've also got to remember that if this game is full of quips and voice acting and stuff like that, maybe they've reduced that down to make the download smaller, for the beta. So there's stuff like that. So I'm not going to judge it on that stuff at all until the game's finally out, and then we'll check it out. But we'll see. Still a big question mark over that game.
Yeah. So the only other thing I've played is Axiom Verge 2, which, as I said, it's another Metroid-style 2D adventure game that follows on from the first game, which was excellent. And I've played this. I mean, as I said, I've got quite a lot of things going on at the moment because we're moving house and everything. But I've still managed to put 8 hours into this over the last 3 or 4 days or so, which is mad because.
And James and
I finished it as well.
You finished it. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Didn't
So,
have
time for
time to
Dave.
play a game with your mate Dave. Okay.
No, I'm really glad you have, because I'm keen, because I've only put a few hours into this and I really like it, but obviously you're better placed to give an overview, so keen to hear what you think.
I mean, it's strange though, isn't it? Because it starts the way, because we were talking about this on WhatsApp, and it's like the way it starts off isn't great, because it's pretty tough, like to begin with. It also dumps players into like an area like in the dark, underwater, like very quickly, with no skills and no real indication of what you're supposed to be doing at all. And it's not very friendly at all. And the main differentiator this time round from the first game is that the primary attack that you have is like melee based rather than guns. So you can pick up later on, you pick up like a boomerang and stuff, but generally you're just using like melee weapons. So this really
and
changes.
Crucially, it's like no one told the enemies that. Like they've all still got guns and they're all shooting at you from a distance, whereas you've just got a fucking ice axe.
Yep.
And it's initially it's really off-putting, isn't it? And like you say, the sort of being in the dark and being underwater and stuff. Like it's it's a genre trope. There's plenty of Metroidvania games that have like an underwater bit, and then probably you get you later get an ability that lets you sort of run around underwater properly. But that's usually quite later on in the game, whereas it's basically the first main area, isn't it?
Yeah,
and you do fairly quickly get the ability that lets you move and jump around underwater properly. But for a bit, you are just like, what the fuck is going on? This is so hard and so just like oppressive and weird, which is almost certainly by design, because the first game had a bit of that as well. But yeah, initially, I can see a lot of people getting thrown off this quite early, I think.
Yeah, because it feels very claustrophobic, like at the beginning, and like you go, you get to this area where, I mean, this is right at the beginning, so it's not really spoiling it or whatever, but it's like you pretty much, you sort of pass out and die or whatever because you're stuck in this water, and you're like, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to have done at this point.
Yeah.
So it's difficult, and the combat is really changed up because you have to get in so close, like to do any damage, and that is pretty tricky, because the enemies seem a lot tougher as well than in the first game, but at least this is on like the default difficulties, because what this does have is an option to tweak combat settings. So what you can do is you can increase like the damage that you give, or the reduce the amount of damage that enemies like give to you and stuff like that. So you can tweak the game really to how you want to play it. So if with Metroid adventure games, if exploration is really the thing that you enjoy more rather than combat, then you can tweak it in that way. Or if you want the game to be really difficult, have like a massive challenge, you can do that as well. And there's no penalty at all for tweaking this. Like it doesn't affect like outcomes or anything at all. It's really just however you want to play. And this was one of the things that when the devs were first showing it off, they said, we've got these boss battles and everything, but you can like skip them if you want to. Like you don't have to do them if you don't want to. Or you can make them easier or make them more tough, that kind of stuff. And that kind of works, but then one of the things that I found through playing, after finishing the game, is that it does make the boss battles feel a lot less like an event. Like something which is happening. It's like, you wander into a room and you come across something like that's massive, and you fight it, but if you want to, you could just avoid it. So it doesn't really feel like so much of an achievement when you defeat it, because there's no real reward for it either. You just get some like energy points or whatever that you can use to upgrade your skills or something.
Because they did say, didn't they? Like, they're optional, but if you defeat them, like you get cool stuff, and it's like, well. Yeah, as you say, you just get like a skill point, basically, that you can put into something, which is not that thrilling, really. And
I can understand why they did that. I mean, they've done that because if you can skip them, then you can't, sort of gatekeep something which is like vital for the game behind the boss, if you can skip it. So it makes sense. But it also, as I said, it makes them less of an event and makes it much less sort of, intimidating, like coming up against them when you know that you can just find a way around if you want to. But then the exploration in this is still like absolutely fantastic, and it's quite different. Like the tone of it is very different, I found, to the first game. The first game was incredibly oppressive. Like the environment, you felt claustrophobic. You felt sort of trapped, like within these sort of like areas that were like very dark a lot of the time. Whereas there's a lot more sort of open vistas that you're walking around, and it feels a lot more sort of open and expansive, really. And it has some of the nicest, I would say, like. Sort of background like art and everything. It looks fantastic, and that's also been very good.
yeah, the world in it is even though this is very much I'm going to say a Amiga style sort of pixel art game, but as you say, it's just like there's occasionally you just get glimpses of like the scenery in the background or whatever, and it's actually really beautifully done. The soundtrack as well, fucking hell.
Yeah.
I mean, the soundtrack of the first game was great, but yeah, it's absolutely stunning in this one.
And it's just, I mean, navigating the map is just like constantly interesting because they bring up these new tools all the time to figure out new ways to get to different areas and that kind of stuff. And it's not in the same way that it has been in other Metroid games. Like they really bring in some like new, different mechanics for like for getting around, rather than just like here's a grapple hook or here's like a super jump or whatever like that. You have to like skip between like different realities and all sorts of stuff. It's really very well designed. Like you look at the map, and I mean, I got stuck at one point. I was stuck at like the map completion of like 70% for ages, and I just couldn't figure out like how to open like the last part of the map. And then when I figured it out, I was just like, oh, I can't believe I missed that. It was such an obvious like sort of thing, and then it all opens up, and it just becomes like even more fantastic. But it's just as Sean said, the music and the backgrounds, all of it is so good, and the narrative is also pretty interesting as well. Like it delves into the whole thing, the connection between man and machine, and like what humanity is, and that kind of stuff. It's a very, very good game. Like this is one of the most solid like Metroid style games I've played for a very long time. Like, and it's just the fact that you can tweak it and you can make it really what you want it to be, just makes it an absolute joy to play. I mean, this is why I just sat. I played it for such a long time over the whole weekends. I was up until quite late at night playing it.
You completed it in 8 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a very long game. I mean, I completed it in 8 hours with, I think it was 87% of the map, like, done. Which is, so it's not a massive game. Like, it's shorter than, say, like, I'd say than, like, Death's Door or whatever. Not that they're the same type of game, but,
Death's Door's around 10, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you could probably do this in even quicker. Like, if you knew all the routes and everything. I mean, I did a fair bit of exploring as well, because I was just enjoying it. But you could probably do it even quicker. But it's really... I really enjoyed this like so much, and I would really recommend it to anyone who likes like this style of game. It's great.
Me?
I don't know because you're not really into like Metroid style 2D adventure games, are you?
No.
Yeah, then probably not then. Because
Really?
I don't know. I don't know if you get anything from it.
It definitely, like, Axiom Verge 2...
Whenever you say that, you sound so arrogant. You know that.
I think this
one... No, because I know there's certain types of games you like, Dave, and I don't know if you'd like this or not, whether you just feel it's pointless. It's like...
Hey, Dave, if you want to get into Metroidvanias, just play Super Metroid on the Switch Online.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
do that.
It's still one of the best.
I've heard that the controls are really shit.
Yeah,
you heard
from
that from
a man
an idiot.
who's bad at games.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but just don't believe him when it comes to this stuff.
Right.
Yeah, like Super Metroid is still one of the best, and like Axiom Verge 2 is great, but it would be a weird introduction to the genre
definitely.
because it's like it's a lot of twists on the sort of the established formula. I think. I mean, the first Axiom Verge would be a pretty good introduction. I think.
I'd say so. I mean, I would still definitely go for Super Metroid. Like, you just sit there, put headphones on, and then just like switch the lights off or whatever, and just play it. And it's so good still. This atmospherically, it's just like such an amazing game.
Yeah, totally. I think Axiom Verge 2 also repeats the best trick from the first game, was that, like so many Metroid style games, you start them and you're going around the map and you're like, okay, that's like a green coloured door, so I'm going to need a different weapon to open that, or you're seeing things in the world that you're like, okay, I'm going to need another ability before I can deal with that. Whereas I feel like the Axiom Verge games both do a really good job of kind of disguising that.
Yeah.
And then when you do get new abilities, you're not sort of going, right, now I just need to trudge back to this one place. You just sort of carry on exploring and sort of naturally find all these new things you can do. It
leads you the pathfinding is very good in this, but then also the other thing is like it has like fast travel as well that you unlock later, so you can like, it's quite quick to be able to like skip around different areas of the map and then sort of think, I'm going to go and explore there, see if I can open more of that up now. It's just very, very good. Yeah, very, very good.
Cool. That's Axiom Verge 2.
Yeah.
How much was it?
It was £16.
Whoa, hold on a minute. Fuck,
pricey.
Sean, that's all you've been playing, is it, James?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Sean, did you have anything else on your list?
Just Death's Door, which
Did you finish it?
have finished and got the extra secret ending as well.
Oh God, so have I. They fixed the bug that I hit.
Oh,
and
yeah,
my
yeah, that's
word,
right. You were, having trouble.
I turned it on one day and it gave me an achievement for the task that was bugging out, and then I got sort of the final ending. Oh my God, it's just so good from start to finish. Even though I hit this horrible bug, I loved it. Did it give you 100% mark at the end of it? Because I know you didn't do everything.
No, I didn't know. I can't remember what percentage I got, but yeah, I intentionally sort of went for the tablets rather than
which is fair.
Yeah.
Which is fair. But what a game! What a game, right?
Yeah, absolutely stunning. Start to finish.
What did you think about the final boss and the second to final boss? Because I've got a feeling that might sour it for some people. It almost soured it for you, didn't it, James?
It did, yeah. I was not so keen on that.
The very last boss, or the
very last boss.
Pretty tough.
It is tough.
But it's, as you say, Dave, it's the Dark Souls thing, isn't it? That when you do it, you will barely take a single hit.
It's just nuts.
It fucking clicks.
Well,
it's a great feeling.
That run up as well, like to the boss. It's like, because I was sending Dave messages as I was doing that, saying I really wish there were checkpoints here. And then after you'd done it, I was like, actually, no, it didn't need to be. It's just, you just have to.
I think, when you're doing that bit, it feels quite uncharacteristic for the game, doesn't it? Because normally it's quite generous with checkpoints and stuff like that. And then that's one bit where it's like, no, this is just quite a long run. You got to deal with it. But then, before you get to the fight proper, there is another checkpoint. So that last boss was very tough. I mean, if I had to complain about anything, it would be the fact that, like, you do the last boss and then you're like, right, cool, now I'm going to go and find some secrets, and then you get a load of upgrades to all your spells and stuff.
Yeah, I know.
And never use them.
All those upgrades were there in the initial run through. So, that's also because I picked up one of those upgrades in my initial run through, and I thought, God, it would be so much easier if I had 2 extra bits of life and 2 extra magic things and all upgrades and all that sort of stuff. That would have made the whole latter part of the game easier. But and it certainly doesn't direct you to those upgrades either. So it kind of makes you regret not going off the beaten path. But as I said, it's like the Spider-Man thing, right? Here's the coolest thing in the game, right at the end, and an empty city to walk around with it. I mean, it's like, cheers for that, mate.
But I mean, fine, whatever. Like, it does such a good job of. I know a lot of people have resorted to a walkthrough when it gets to that, that sort of post-game stuff.
Oh, gotcha.
Which is absolutely fine, but the game does actually do a really good job of pointing you at the more annoying bits. Like, there are systems in place to sort of steer you in the right direction, which I think is really cool. So I was really surprised as well. Like, if you're listening to this thinking, I'll finish it and I can't be arsed with post game stuff. I did the boss and then I did like the remaining post game stuff like in a single session in like the following morning. Like, it was actually pretty quite nice to do. It was just a nice sort of wrapping up rather than like, here's the fucking proper challenge now, dickheads. Like, it was nice. It was
really? I might go back to it then, because I thought it was going to be
there's not like harder enemies. You've beaten the hardest enemy in the game, James.
Okay,
if you
maybe
were
I'll go
about
back
that.
then. Because I just didn't feel like going through another.
And there's a really good boss fight in there as well. A really good boss fight. It only took me so long because I hit that bug. And I spent most of my time trying to find out what wasn't working. And then I went on to 100% everything. So literally collecting every item, every weapon, all of that stuff. So that's why it took me longer. But you could definitely do the tablet stuff pretty quickly. You should definitely look into that.
Yeah, fucking brilliant game.
Okay, I'm going to be really quick because I haven't spent too much time on these games, but I'll be brief. Of course, a brief mention to Rocket League because it's been so long since I mentioned it. I have been playing it, of course, but new season came out started this week, so I've been back on my Rocket League again. That game is just a joke. I can't believe it. How long's it been out? It's got to be,
years.
5 years now?
Yeah,
feels like forever.
God, so good. That game, the best football game ever made, bar none. Like, nothing gives the feeling of football like that. When you go to FIFA afterwards, you're like, what's the point? Yes, you're in rocket-propelled cars. But that don't, it's still representative of the beautiful game. Rocket League is still incredible. I played Hades, which came out on Game Pass this week, with the horrific news that you couldn't transfer your save over from another platform. So I had to start again. But all I did was put that God mode on, just to get back to where I was in the timeline. But I mean, no excuses now. If you've got Game Pass, man, play Hades. It was our game of the year last year, and it's still as good. Well, it's even better. It feels smoother. It looks way sharper, obviously, and it feels just as amazing to play. Like, it's an incredible video game. Definitely play that. I tried The Art of Rally. Have you seen this one, Sean?
Yeah, so I've had it on
appeal to you.
I had it on PC for a bit, and again, it's one of those. Quite,
you didn't play it?
No, I really like it, but I just
Did you? I didn't get on with it, man. I found it really quite dull.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because I was really excited to play it on the Xbox, because I say, having enjoyed the PC version, and then but being happy to have like a more convenient version of it. I don't know. Played like 20 minutes on the Xbox, and I was like, nah, I'm all right.
Yeah, it's an isometric racing game, with very stylized graphics. It does a weird thing with the soundtrack, because the music's great, but it's weird synth music. I thought maybe doesn't really fit in with what you're going for here. Like, it feels that maybe it should be a little bit more like what was that bloody BMX game that you loved? Lonely Mountains Downhill.
Oh yeah.
If it went for that vibe, I think it would work with the visual style and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's one of those games where I just thought, this isn't really clicking for me. I could see why some people would like it, but yeah, it didn't really work for me. So
it's got a
can't really judge it.
Very specific handling model, hasn't it? That
it has.
If you do manage
which apparently
to
you can tweak a lot.
Yeah. If you do manage to click with it, it is really satisfying. But I turned on the Xbox version thinking my skills from the PC version would instantly carry over. But it turns out it's been about 6 months and I've forgotten how to play it. And I don't know, just put Wreckfest on again instead, thanks. Which is not fair. Like, Art of Rally's a very different game, and clearly, like I say, going for a very specific thing, and it does it very well. Just didn't have the patience to relearn it, I don't think.
So there was that, and then the game that I've mostly been playing this week is Luminaires Remastered. I've never played a Luminaires game before in my life. No. And I started it and I was like, this is the most confusing shit I've ever played. And then I don't know where I sit with it, really, because I'm so addicted to it and I'm enjoying every moment with it. But at the same time, I don't really know what I'm doing.
It's weird,
I haven't worked out tactics yet.
Yeah.
And it's just really confusing.
Because I remember, because I had a quick go on this on the Xbox, and I felt exactly as I felt when I first played it on the PSP 20 years ago, or whatever it was. Whereas, just that feeling of like, well, I don't really know what I'm doing, but what I'm doing seems to be working, so I'm just gonna carry on and enjoy the light show. Like, it's just
exactly. And do you know what's really weird? So I thought, okay, there's clearly an element to this game that I don't quite understand. So I looked up the tutorial ages afterwards, and I was playing 45-minute games and getting to level 18. And then in the tutorial, it says to progress in this game, get to level 100. And I was like, what? How long are these games? How long are you supposed to play for?
There will be high-level Lumines play, right? That'll be a thing. But as you say, it's just not immediately clear, is it? How that might work. You just because you're playing it, you're like, well, clearly I'm doing a good job. I'm clearing the squares. Nothing's going wrong. It's like Tetris. When you're playing badly because you die. The screen fills up and you have gaps everywhere and you're shite at it. Whereas with this, you're just I'm just sort of cracking on and it seems to be fine.
It's a never-ending disco.
Yeah, which I think is it's by design. I think it is just meant to be a cool sort of audio-visual experience with a bit of a puzzle game.
But then there's basic mode, intermediate mode, expert mode, or whatever. But the higher levels are all locked.
Right.
So I assume I have to get to level 100 on basic mode to even just to listen to different tunes. because the
another couple
tunes
of
are
hours
getting
in.
a little bit repetitive now.
Yeah.
But that's like, how the fuck do you get to level 100? Anyway, if anyone knows, please get in touch, because I haven't got a fucking clue how to play that video game, but I'm still having a good time with it. And again, perfect for Game Pass. Never tried a Lumines game. Thought I'd give it a go. Downloaded it and really enjoyed it. So yeah, worth looking at if you've not played a Lumines game and you like those sort of drop-based puzzles. Yeah, you might enjoy it. I think I'm going to be playing more of that this week. And that's it. That's it for me. So we should
start a score battle, Dave. Where we're just like, I've been on it for 4 fucking hours and it's still, I haven't picked up score yet.
That's still like
it's just an endurance test.
Filling the screen. Yeah. All right, cool. Should we get into your questions this week?
Yes. If you want to send us any questions, go to tcgs.co/Dear TCGS in your Netscape navigator or Firefox. Whatever. Mitchy Mitch says, I turned 40 this year and my body's gift to me was my failing eyesight. So I had to admit defeat and go and get my first pair of glasses. After receiving my brand new pair, I spent the first day feeling like I was one of those Digital Foundry graphic comparison videos. Removed the glasses, I'm viewing the world in 720p, put them back on and I'm boosted to 4K. I felt like I was walking around with some sort of augmentation fitted to my eyes. With the current popularity of cyberpunk games doing the rounds, what genuine body augmentations would you go for if given the option?
Blake, I think you got to answer this first.
Okay. So I haven't played the Cyberpunk, but I'm guessing it's just like, what kind of like tech can you put in your body?
Yeah,
that's exactly
yourself.
It.
Could I just like do like what? All right. Could I have like one of those like RoboCop's finger, where he kind of like.
What? What? Why is finger?
Hear me out. Yeah. RoboCop was able to like his fingertip would kind of come off, and then he'd slot what was left of it in some computer and download loads of information. So you've kind of
that's pretty good.
So like jack in.
Yeah. So it's mainly it's the brain, isn't it? You've got like a computer brain where you can just download stuff. But I want the finger. I want the finger. I want like the USB finger as well. So
but that's the thing, because you haven't got the brain. Would you just connect it to a computer and it'll say this is not compatible?
No, brain's too slow, mate. Sorry,
you can't take in the information. You literally just put in a USB slot into a USB port into a USB slot with no cable attached to it.
So I have to choose between the computer brain that has no way of downloading information or the RoboCop finger that can download the information, but it's just stuck in my finger. So what I can do is
that's the conundrum.
That's the
conundrum.
I think he's allowed both, isn't he? The whole system. Surely.
Yeah, why not?
For the sake of the question.
Because if I'm not allowed...
You're very generous.
Thank you. Yeah, that is generous of you. Thank you very much. Because, otherwise I am just left with a situation where, I'll never misplace the USB because it's always on my finger, which is, important in some occasions. It's valuable.
All it'll do is give you electric shocks, and that's...
Oh, mate, no. What happens if you get that finger, right? And then, like, in 2 years' time, literally everyone turns to USB port Cs. So you can't even insert it into anything.
And you've got to, like, get an adapter every time. And it's like...
you've got to get a dongle every time you want to use it.
Keep it on your keys, just in case.
That gets expensive, doesn't it? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, look, watch this, guys. I'm going to download all this information from this computer. Just trying to see. I think I left my dongle in the bag. Hold on, Is it there? I can't find it. It's down here somewhere. Hold on. I would probably have projector nipples. So when I'm laying in bed. Yeah.
Oh my god!
When I'm laying
just
in bed
on the ceiling, bang! There you go.
Yeah,
Coronation Street.
Just on the ceiling.
Yeah.
Just Wi-Fi. Like, I could watch my ASMR videos on the ceiling while laying in bed. Perfect. The only problem is you'd have to turn them off before you turned over to go to sleep. Otherwise, you'd light up. I'll be sleeping there.
Wake your wife up. Oh, fucking hell.
Why is this chiropractor on my face, David? Don't worry about that, Joe.
It's normal. It's not a sex thing.
Covering my nipples. I promise it's not a sex thing. James?
Robot feet. Can I go for that?
Okay, sure.
Wait, hang on. Is this what? Is this something, just because there's something wrong with your feet, you just want prosthetic feet?
Oh, I just want to be able to walk and it doesn't hurt. It'd be nice.
So
Well, your
yes,
ankles and your knees might still hurt, mate.
that would class as something wrong with your feet, James. They're not supposed to hurt.
Yeah, they do if you walk for a long time. It's like...
Yeah, but how long are you walking? What are we talking here?
I don't know, like a couple of hours.
A couple of hours? Where are you walking a couple of hours to?
Well, you sometimes have to, don't you?
Peppa Pig World.
Go on.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good point.
That's a fucking good point. I do apologise, James. Why didn't you just say Peppa Pig World, James?
I'm not as quick, so I couldn't do that.
Okay. Well, maybe you should do a little bit more walking, and then maybe you end up being a little bit quicker. You know what I mean? Get some muscles in those legs.
Plus,
Sean?
if you ever needed to, kick people or vicious animals, you're equipped.
Be great.
Why is kicking animals coming to this podcast more than
because James has got his big metal feet.
That's a good point. Good point. Sean.
I'd settle for a cardiovascular system that isn't a total piece of shit.
Go on.
Can I just say, just hair? Just some fucking stupid hair.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Some
mind
robot
that.
hair.
That'd be
Robot
nice.
hair. Yeah.
Some little robot hair.
Yeah.
Maybe like some nano hair or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's...
just a little wig that can talk to me and be my mate.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Form
Then
different
that's
shapes.
not weirder than being bald.
No.
Okay, fine. Have you forgotten what it's like to have hair? Is that what you guys think having hair is? That it talks to you?
Yeah, does it not?
No, it doesn't. I'm sorry to break that to you, man. It does not.
Disappointing.
It does not.
Imagine me getting implants and then being like, right, so when's he start talking?
The doctor sort of just like looking at you and saying, well,
think something's
give it
gone wrong with the
a couple
procedure.
of weeks. but the doctor wasn't moving his mouth. You look up and his hair said that. Right, go on. Sorry, let's go. What's the next question?
James says, hello, David, James, Sean and Blake. Having just put my AirPods through the washing machine for the third time, I was wondering, what's the most expensive thing you've ever broken or seriously damaged?
Oh, God.
I think.
God. Well, I guess I've broken my TV. It still works, technically. But I was stupid. So fucking stupid. I put the TV on the wall, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I put with a bracket and everything, and it's in a recess, so you can't see like the back of it or anything
That's
like
right,
that.
Yeah.
And in my head, I was thinking, it's like a proper movable bracket. Like you can pull it right away from the wall, and you can turn it and all this sort of stuff. And I thought, I was making some waffles or something, and I thought, but I want to watch the football. So I thought, well, I can just pull it right away from the wall and angle it towards where the kitchen is, because we've got like one of those, holes in the wall.
You should have used a mirror, Dave. You should have used a mirror.
Well, yeah, I should have used a mirror. Not thinking that the HDMI ports are plugged into the side of it. So when I pulled it out and went to spin it, it just ripped one of the, all of the fucking HDMI cables just ripped and split. And one of the ports is now completely fucked, so we can't use it. So we've got to use one of those little switch button things for the Switch and the Virgin Media. So yeah, what an idiot. So I guess that counts. Fucking idiot. I'm so angry with myself about that. I get that thing as well, I don't know if you guys do, where even if there's a slight thing wrong with something that you own, it sticks in your head.
It niggles.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, it niggles
really
at you.
niggles.
Yeah.
I've got a scratch on the top of my screen on my phone.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
it is
that's what I was gonna say.
infuriating me right about now.
Yeah.
Every time I look at it, it makes me feel ill.
I don't know what happened. All my phones were pristine for years, and now in the last sort of 3 years, I'm going to put it down to exhaustion as a result of having a child. But yeah, I'm fucking up phones left, right, and centre now. Oh no, not that bad.
Oh, really?
But, well, the last phone I had, yeah. So I managed to fucking smash. It was the Galaxy S8, 7, 8. No, 9. Not that it fucking matters. But yeah. Point is, it's one of the ones with the glass around the side, which, as it turns out, is just more ways for it to get smashed. And yeah, so it was like 2 of the corners on it were crushed, basically, and all bits coming off it. And I'd only had it for about 6 months, and obviously, so I was still stuck with it for another, year and a half. So I thought, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to pay to get it repaired. It was like 250 quid. Basically, just got a new fucking phone. And then, so I got it fixed, just bit the bullet, and then within 6 months it was broken again, and I'm just going to have to live with this. I'm not paying that again. That's fucking stupid.
Shit.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I know what Blake's answer is to this.
Oh, yeah.
Go on.
I know what your answer is, Blake.
Because I'm struggling
the most
to think.
expensive thing you've broken.
Sounds like he's taunting you a bit.
I'm actually really interested to see what it is.
The most expensive thing you've broken, Blake.
Your
the
heart?
box office, isn't it?
Yeah.
The box office.
Priceless, mate.
Oh, good
Yeah,
on
with
you.
the movie and that.
Yeah. That is.
That's a good one.
I don't know when this is going out, but that's literally 10 years tomorrow. As we record this, 10 years tomorrow is the date that movie, that record-breaking, box office-breaking movie first came out.
I'll never forget, mate. I'll never forget. I'll always be a fan. In fact, actually, we'll see. Let's see if you do how your Jar Jar Binks interpretation goes in the near future.
Sorry,
James?
when you said 10 years, I was like, well, he can't be talking about that. No, fucking hell, that was 10. Jesus Christ, that was 10 years.
And that's the movie, not the series. The movie. Like that's how old we've all got.
But the second one was because oh god, I remember this because Harry had just been born when the second film came out, and you unbelievably one of the best experiences of my life invited me to the premiere, and we went to the after party, and I had to leave early because the baby wouldn't go to sleep. Could you imagine that?
No.
Imagine how angry I was. I mean, it was still pretty late, but I was furious. I had to go back and look after Harry. Never forgive him, that kid. James, come on.
It was probably, the coffee all over the computer recently. That was expensive. It cost me a lot of money.
Oh, yeah, but it wasn't yours, though. That doesn't count. You just got it fixed.
That's true, yeah. Yeah. All right, phones. I've broken phones. There you go. I've done that a couple of times.
I've never broken. I don't put them in cases. I don't put the covers on them or anything. This is the first time I've actually scratched a screen on a phone, and it's infuriating me. So now I'm thinking maybe I need to change my stance on that. But I've never broken it. It just stays in my pocket all the time. I think I'm so protective over it. It's weird.
So
just drop them.
When I dropped an iPhone 3GS in a sink once, which was really annoying.
Good.
Yeah, it not waterproof. And,
well, because my solution to all this is just to get less nice phones, and then therefore not be as upset. Because it just got to the point where I was because I was getting flagship ones, and I was like, wow, man, this phone's amazing. Better put a fucking massive case on it and a stupid screen protector so it looks like shit. It's just pointless.
You're absolutely right.
The next question comes from Catsick Willy Fingers, who says, hello. Says, hello, fellow humans and Dave. Podcasting requires each person to have a voice. How would each of you describe the other's voices?
Brilliant.
I would describe them with sounds.
Well, just by pretending to do an impression.
So who's this?
James.
Yeah, that's spot on. Yeah. Who's this?
Is that me?
Yeah, that's Sean.
Okay.
And who's this?
That's Matt.
That's Matt, isn't it?
Yeah.
Perfect. That's how I'd describe him. Perfect, right? James?
Yeah. I can't do an impression of you, so I don't know how it would go.
Would it just be classes? Would you just describe them in class? Working class, and also slightly less working class? Is that where you go?
Pretty offensive, Dave. I wouldn't do that.
Well, it sums you up, doesn't it?
Dick.
Do you know what I like about? Do you know what I like about Dave's voice? Is because for a long time I think I had a weird hang up about the fact that for some reason I perceived my own voice as being weirdly high pitched than most other men that I knew.
Oh really?
And then I met Dave, and I was like, well, his is definitely higher than mine, and he sounds fine.
Yeah, oh god, yeah.
So
yeah, I've always had a high pitched voice. I've never been able to nail the whole hello. I can't, sounded like a normal man. I can't do that.
I think because the thing with me is that mine just gets higher pitched when I'm annoyed, which obviously doesn't help. When I'm really angry about something, and then I just start talking like this, as if that helps, and that makes me sound really important, and you should pay attention to what I'm saying. Doesn't work.
Me, it's when I'm excited. When I'm excited or whatever, I go way too high pitched. Way too high pitched.
Only dogs can hear it.
I can go really high pitched as well.
Eh?
I do it on a regular, but like to the kids I'm up about, and I go, hello. Sorry, I can't. Let's move on. I mean, Blake, how would you describe our voices? Dull? Dull?
No, just
Probably dull.
Sensual and
I'll do it. Take that.
Yeah, arousing and titillating. Is
Okay. All right. Let's move on. Can we move on? Let's move on.
Could you write that as a review on iTunes?
Yes.
Thank you. Liz Walker says, I wanted to write in to say to the person that was contemplating playing Yakuza but was scared that they'd end up playing it for the next year, do it anyway. I started playing the Yakuza series back in February, mainly due to how much James bangs on about it on the show, and just last week I finally finished Yakuza Like a Dragon. I'm even playing Yakuza Dead Souls, despite it being really rough, with the hope that it will tide me over until Lost Judgment comes out next month. The whole series has been completely worth every hour of my gaming time spent and has had the extra benefit of saving me money, as I've not felt the need to get any new releases in the meantime, and most Yakuza games being available relatively cheaply at this point. My question for the pod: if you didn't have to worry about playing new games for the podcast, is there a video game series you would like to play back to back without interruption?
Oh,
that's a good question.
Probably Mass Effect.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I'd love to go through that again.
good
yeah.
shout. Yeah.
I love when they re-released them recently, Blake.
Yeah. Is it called the Legend or Legacy Edition or something?
Yeah, that's right.
So that has
yeah.
been. Like, I haven't played games for a little while now, and that's been one of those ones that I've been thinking about getting. I may have even texted you about it, actually, just saying, is it going to be worth it? Because I was like, I wasn't sure whether it's better to get it on the PS5 or PS4 or what the best thing to do with it was. It must take up so much memory on whatever console you're playing it on. But yeah, I am really.
No, I don't think it's that bad.
Oh, really? I just imagined it would be.
Yeah, I don't think it's that bad.
Because I never played Mass Effect 1, so that would be exciting in itself. And Mass Effect 2, I think, is still possibly my favourite game of all time. I loved it so much. And I also am, I'd be interested to see if I could, have Shepard die not a virgin in this instalment of Mass Effect. Because he was unlucky in love, my Shepard, in the Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3. It's haunted me till this day that he's never ever found love, found a relationship, and he died alone.
So it's 84 to 87 gigabytes, so it's not too bad. One Call of Duty game is more than that. So I think that's okay.
Fair enough.
But yeah, getting the time to go through those games again would be something I want to do. But the problem is, it's going through it again, isn't it? I suppose I'm not going to say Yakuza because I've got no interest in those games. But yeah, that's probably my answer. James, it wouldn't happen to be Phoenix Wright, would it?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I need to play through those again.
For fuck's sake.
His annual run.
Yeah, annual playthrough of Phoenix Wright. No, I tell you, I wouldn't mind going back and trying and playing Shenmue again. Actually, because I got the collection that came out on PS4, but I've never touched it. I played the third one and finished it, and it wasn't very good. But then sometimes I just think I'd like to try that again. But then after watching you playing it and then realizing that it's not that great. Especially
Shenmue
when you can...
2 is not a good game.
Yeah.
Shenmue 1 still has things to like about it.
Yeah. I think it's just dated too badly is the problem, and I just don't think, maybe it's not a good idea to go back.
Nope. Sure.
I had been thinking recently that I'd quite like to do a full Metroid run, and then I heard the Kane and Rince episode about the first Metroid game, and I was like,
no, that's. I've thought about doing that a couple of times, but it's that first one, isn't it? Because it's really
isn't the second worse as well?
Yeah, the second's even well. No, they're not bad games. Like the second one's probably worse than the first one, but it's just there's no map, and that makes it incredibly difficult, to figure out where you're going. That's good.
I don't know. Because obviously I have. Obviously saying Yakuza is a cop out because that's the whole thing about Liz's question, but But it has been really nice, starting with the Yakuza games, and I am still chipping away at Kiwami here and there. So realistically, if I didn't have to play new stuff for the show, that probably is what I would dive into. But I feel like I should have a more interesting answer than that. I keep thinking like a proper Final Fantasy run.
I was going to say that as well.
But half of those are bad, though, aren't they? So
Yeah.
can't win. There's not many series that have been running for that long and are actually pretty consistent, is there?
Mm.
So there's an answer. Kurt Lewin says, "Hi chaps. While I was out walking, listening to the latest podcast, I found a £20 note on the floor. What's the highest amount of money you've ever found, and what's the lowest amount you would deem suitable enough to hand in to the police, if you would hand it in at all?"
Good question.
The lowest amount you'd hand in to the police. Okay, go on.
I found £20 outside. I think the rule is if you find it outside on the street, it's yours, right?
Okay. Yeah.
If you find it in a shop or something like that, you hand it in.
Yeah.
That's kind of my rule, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I found £20. I was walking with my sister up past the local independent video game store, found £20 on the floor, walked in, was looking for a game to spend it on while my sister was going, but what if that person's in here that had the £20? And I'm going, shut up, man. Fucking hell. I spent it, boy. What's the... right. Okay, let's start with that question first. The highest amount of money that you found, Sean?
I think I've only found like the odd tenner and stuff. It's never been anything particularly amazing.
Not found like a money clip,
No.
like they do in American films. James?
I don't think I've ever found money, actually. I found it when I lived in China, but I've never found it here.
What? You've never found money at all?
Not on the floor, no. It's never happened like here.
Oh, man. I remember going at high school. Going at high school and walking around the local area, just looking at the floor to find enough 2p's and 1p's to go and buy a 10p ice pop. Like, it was like, that was like, yes, I'm getting an ice pop. Like, fucking, yeah, man, you're missing out, boy.
I remember.
You're missing out.
I found like a pound or whatever, but it's like, I'm talking about like any like notes or whatever.
Nothing for you, is it, James?
Yeah, but I'm talking about notes.
Windfall for me.
I remember visiting my Auntie Christine's for the first time when I was about 6 or 7 and realising that her sofa just had all like 50p's and pound coins like stuff down the side.
Touch.
And I mentioned this and she was just like, oh yeah, whatever, like help yourself. And that is when I realised my family was a little bit poor compared to others. Because I was just like, what the fuck? This is the most money in the world.
Maybe my family were quite poor compared to others then, because that sounds like the best thing ever to happen.
Oh, it was amazing. Like bagging. I was
like
walking out the door
that in
with
my
all,
family,
my
aunt would have gone, well, give that to me because that's food for the next week. Do you know what I mean? Give that back. You ain't going nowhere with that kid. Blake? Find a briefcase.
I can't think. Some gold bullions, but just a few of those. No, I can't think of finding unless it's happened that I've forgotten, which doesn't sound like me. But I what I love is when you find like a tenner or 20 quid in an old coat of yours, because there's no there's no loser in that situation. Everyone's
a
winner.
Gift from your past self.
Yeah, it's nice.
It is nice, isn't it? Yeah, and you get it and you go, oh, brilliant. Well, it's the tenner.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah, but then I've got the classic situation where Joe's usually standing next to me and I'll pull it out of my pocket and go, oh, brilliant. And then she'll snatch it off me and go, oh, brilliant. I'm like, oh, God, I'm back here now, am I? With no money. Nice one. Thanks, Joe. Okay, so what's the lowest amount of money you would hand to the police? It's probably 100, right? For me, I think if I found 100 on the floor, that's
it
probably
depends. Like, is it loose? Is it in an envelope? I feel like that changes things.
I don't know. If I found 50, I think 50 is enough. Like, that you'd want to give that in.
I mean, if it was an actual £50 note, I'd just be like, hang on a minute, who's fucking walking around with £50 notes?
Exactly.
It's just weird, how much blood is on it. Yeah. How about you, Blake? What's your limit?
I don't know. Again, it depends on the situation. If there's like if there is, say there's like people, coppers stood nearby, maybe even just 20 quid, you'd go up and go, oh, someone's dropped this or something. And especially as you said, like in a shop or whatever. But other than that, if it's like in like any amount of money in a wallet or like purse with any like ID,
the wallet's going
any
in,
of that's going straight handed into the police or whoever. But again, an envelope full of cash, you start playing that game in your head is like, this was used for nefarious uses, and you start concocting this idea that it's...
But then that's the thing, isn't it? Like, the nature of the question has changed in the last, 30 years, hasn't it? Because a few decades ago, well, yeah, of course you'd have loads of cash in your wallet, why wouldn't you? Whereas now it's like, whoa, what's going on here? It's
got cash. But if, see, the way my brain works, if I saw 2 coppers across the road, and then I saw a £50 note on the floor, I'd be thinking, they put that there and they're going to arrest anyone that picks it up and puts it in their back pocket. That's blatantly what's going to happen. I'm going to put it in my back pocket and then get tackled. Go, no, I was going to hand it in, mate. Yeah, I think we've covered that question, Sean.
All right, last one. Sergeant Salt says, is there any chance Blake can get James a walk-on role in his next project?
Please.
Make it happen.
Please, Blake, do that.
He's a pro, he'll be really good.
Well, my next project's going to be a play, so that's going to
to That's even better.
Interesting.
Perfect.
Okay, yeah.
I'm
sure we can make that work.
What sort of, I mean, I don't know if you could talk about it, but what are we talking here? Are we talking Shakespeare? Are we talking...
I mean, am I supposed to fall over or not? Is what I want to know.
I mean, it's not a comedy, so falling over may not play right for the story. But you roll with it. It's live theatre, mate. What happens.
Is there a narrator involved in this play? Because James would be a perfect narrator, I feel, coming out in front of the stage with the curtain still down, going, hello. Today, I'm going to tell you a story. Oh, mate, I can see it now. See him in a chair. I'm right on the front of the stage, big armchair. Oh, God, we got to
with like a smoking jacket, a smoking jacket and a pipe.
Yeah.
I mean, so I can pitch this to the director, and we'll just see what happens.
I don't think we can breakdance, right? So we could
I think we do parkour.
At intermission. He could just do a little breakdance.
The routine. Can we stop talking about me like I'm not here? This is like...
Regional champion, Blake. Can you believe it? It's madness. Right, okay. Let's get on to the socials. James, it's you. Matt's not here. Look, imagine you're auditioning for this play, right? You've got your lines. You know your lines. Let's go.
Thank you for listening. So
no, I do that bit. No, it's just the socials, remember?
Oh, yeah,
you're not saying goodbye, you're just doing the socials.
We're not doing streaming
this play
this
isn't going to go well if he doesn't get on top of things.
It's not. He doesn't understand the concept of anything. Go on.
There's not any streaming this week. There's nothing, according to what I'm looking at here in front of me.
That's what it says.
Nothing.
He's right.
But on Friday, there's a Dark Calls rerun. And there's a new episode every Friday until April 2022! Exclamation mark. Well, that's what Matt's written.
You don't need to read that bit. Yeah. So you can miss that bit.
So, if you've got Twitch Prime... No, it's Amazon Prime. If you've got Amazon Prime, you've got Twitch Prime, so you can subscribe to our channel even though we're not doing any streaming. You can still do that. That'd be nice. We've got a Patreon, which I don't know... I've forgotten. I did this really well last time, and I've completely forgotten what the address is.
Don't let the pressure get to you. Don't let the pressure get to you, James.
Is it patreon.com/TCGSco?
No
so
code.
close.
No code
just
for that
TCGS.
one.
Just TCGS.
Yes,
okay,
that's right. Yeah.
And so you can do that, or you can write to us. There's a form, which is like tcgs.co/deartcgs. I think Sean's supposed to say that, but never mind.
I did twice.
Did you? Oh, sorry. Sorry, Sean. And then it's TCGS code for everything else. Just go to that website. So, yeah, thanks.
Blake, thank you so much for joining us, man.
It's been my
pleasure.
pleasure.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And just watch it with this podcast stuff, because I've been known to have certain podcasts removed. Yeah, I've got that sort of power. I know you've entered my world now. Yeah, watch your back.
Oh,
That's all right.
I will watch my step.
And
You do realise
thank
that
you so
I'm
much for
actually
living-
talking to like people that could kill you, though. Like I'm making genuine contact with like lethal killing machines that do it for a living.
Well, I am aware of that. I am aware of that. Well, we've got a listener who's a black belt in jiu-jitsu.
Oh, that's true.
So
That's good.
you pick your hardest guest that you've had on, and we'll get them to fight John Denton. Let's have that. Let's give that a go. We will catch you next week for more video game chat. And I think Matt's back, right? Are you off next week, James?
No, I'm here
I think
next
isn't
week.
it a full squad next
Is it a
week, and
full-
then
Whoa.
James is off, and then I am off, or is there another? I can't remember.
It's all
Yeah,
happening.
something like that.
It's all happening.
Yep.
But we'll catch you next week regardless. We love you all. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Kissy kiss.
Bye-bye.